hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I put together all 21 of the 4th of July DIYs I've made so far this year on my channel in a compilation video. We're going to start with coastal 4th of July and then move to more traditional Americana. And I'll be sure to include chapters down below if you'd like to skip around. Enjoy! You guys know I love doing coastal for every holiday, and this is no exception. So for the first project, we're going to start with 3 of the seahorse from Dollar Tree and 2 pieces of their craft wood. I have, I think, a full piece and a piece I've used before, the 10-inch chunky slats. And I love these seahorses. With previous DIYs, I've just left them plain because they're so cute. But for this one, I thought we would give it some red, white, and blue fun and make a cool little 4th of July decoration. So I'm going to leave one white, so I don't need to tape that, but I am taping the bases. They are like that resin ceramic, but they look like wood and they look cool, so I'm going to leave them like that. And we're going to paint the other 2. So for the first one, I'm going to paint it red. The color I have is, I think it's just bright red acrylic by Delta. You can do kind of whatever color red you want. I don't like too much the red and royal blue. I usually try to go with either a beachy blue for the blue or a navy blue. So today I'm going to do a navy blue. So I'm doing red, white, and like navy blue. I just think it looks really nice together. Now, as you can see, there are lots of little nooks and crannies on this seahorse, so it does take a brush and a little bit of work to get all of that covered. And we are going to distress it to make it look cool like the original one too, but this is going to be the base color, like white is the base color on the other one. So this is the navy blue color. Goes on a little bright, but it dries a little bit darker. And same thing, we're just going to go over the whole thing. You want to paint your front and back. And we're going to put this all together and make a really cool USA patriotic display. Now, on my patriotic videos here on YouTube, I do both coastal and non-coastal because not all of you guys decorate coastal, and so I will be doing some of the non-coastal as well, but for today we're doing all coastal. Now for the craft wood, I have 2 pieces. What I want it to be is stacked, so it'll be taller, so I'm going to stack them on top of each other. So I'm going to want it long enough for 3 of these, right? So I'm going to go ahead and use my longest piece and just use a pencil and sketch out 3. I'm also going to want an extra piece to make one of them higher. So I'm going to go ahead and sketch out a 4th one. Now on this board, I'm also going to cut it here because I told you I want to stack it double to make it taller. So I'm going to cut here and I'm going to cut here with my saw, and I have 3 pieces of wood now. So just going to give them a quick sand. What I want to do is try to distress this wood to kind of make it look like the base of the seahorses, which looks like wood, but it's not wood. So it's going to be a little challenging to get it to like kind of go together. I want it to look like old driftwood. So I'm going to put it together first though. So I just use hot glue to attach my 2 pieces of wood together. I use Gorilla Glue hot glue. It works pretty good for wood. And just make sure I squeeze that in there. And since I sketched this out, I know exactly where to put the top block. And I glue that in place too. I want the seahorse in the middle to be the highest. Now, I did like a 3-step process to kind of stain and age this. First, I took some antique wax by Waverly and some water. And we're going to do a really light stain, see what this does to the wood, just letting that soak in. And as you can see, even though the wood's the same, it kind of stains a little bit differently, but that's okay. So I do that on the front, the sides. We're going to do that all the areas that are visible up here on the riser, just in case you can see any of that when I attach the seahorses to it, and the back just to make it look nicer. And that looks pretty good, but as you can see, it doesn't really look like the wood on the seahorse. So I'm going to do a little wash of gray acrylic paint just by using a paper towel and like a baby wipe and just kind of wiping that over the stain to see if I can get it about the same color scheme. And that's starting to look a little bit better. So I'm going to do that all over just to give it a little bit of a gray stain. Sometimes I, instead of Antique Wax by Waverly, will use gray to stain wood to look like driftwood. It's going to give it that old weathered wood feel, which is what I'm going for. And then the final step is I'm going to distress it with just plain Antique Wax by Waverly. I put that on there and just wipe off the excess. And it gave it a little bit more of a warmer wood, but with gray undertones and all the other little steps we did, and it gave it really a cool look. So I'm going to do that on the top and the back. The ends don't really need too much work. They're kind of like raw wood there on the end, and they kind of just soak everything up. Now for the letters, I'm just going to freehand it. I'll show you how I do it. I just kind of know my sections right. So I just do a big U, an S, and I'm using my Posca paint pens. I have a whole set of these now, like almost every color, I think. I love them. They work so good. You can get them on Amazon. I have them available in my Amazon shop. They are the best paint pens I've ever used, for real. And then I went in and just made my letters a little bit fatter and just put little lines on the end to kind of make them look a little bit cooler. I want them to look like big block letters for USA, one for each one of the seahorses. Once I painted them on there, I just went in and sanded them with my sanding block, just to kind of give them that coastal farmhouse distressed look. And then between the letters, I wanted starfish. The only starfish I had were these. These came from one of my viewers. I think she got these at Hobby Lobby. Fun little seahorse shapes, but you could always use the little tiny seahorses from the clothespins at the Dollar Tree. I think those are about the same size. To paint them, they don't need very much paint, and I don't want to fill up those great starfish holes, so I'm just using a paper towel and a little dot of paint, and that worked really well to give them a light coat of red and blue without filling up the little holes. And then I just went over and gave them a quick little sand, kind of give them that little bit of a coastal farmhouse vibe as well. And I'm going to do red, white, and blue, so I want to alternate where my red and blue are, so I'm going to do blue on the left and red on the right, and I just attached them both with a dot of hot glue, filling in the spaces between USA. So let's check out how our painted seahorses are doing. I let them dry, but I still had to dry them a little bit with my heat gun because, you know, paint kind of pools up a little bit inside there. To distress them, I just took a makeup sponge and some white acrylic, and I'm just dragging it. Putting just a little bit of paint on there, dragging it over, and it gives it that great pattern that it had originally. If you get too much in any little area, just use a baby wipe or something, or the original paint color to go in and touch it up. But doesn't that make it look so much better? It brought out all that great detail on these seahorses. I absolutely love these seahorses. They were short living, but I found them in the regular aisle at some of my stores, like in with the home decor, as well as with the shore living line. They're so pretty. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here with the blue seahorse. I'm not going to have to do anything with the white seahorse. The white seahorse is distressed with like wood look, which is fine. And then both of these are distressed with white, which gives it that red, white, and blue look. Little touch up on my seahorse face there. I distressed a little heavily. And then I just went in and removed my painter's tape that I was using to protect the base. And we have our red, white, and blue seahorses. Now it's just a matter of putting it together. You could just stack it on there, but I want mine to be a finished piece and all stay together. So I attach my seahorses with hot glue. And the red, the blue. On this side, I want it to be red, white, and blue. And then for the one that we raised up with the second or the third block, I guess, we're going to put that right in the middle. That is the white one. That's what it's looking like so far. Right here, hot glue the last one in place, and I absolutely love how this turned out. It is so cute, and I can't wait to display this for the 4th of July. Isn't this so pretty? So I know some of you guys were looking for ways to DIY these seahorses, and most of us have been like, oh, we just leave them alone. Well, here is a DIY where you DIY the seahorse as well. They look fantastic painted, and they look really cute on this little rustic base we made, USA, with a little starfish on there as well. What do you guys think about our first DIY? I had so much fun putting this one together. If you're enjoying today's video, don't forget to hit that like button. It always helps my videos do better here on YouTube. Okay, the next DIY, I wanted to do something fun with these corals they have this year. They have them in patriotic color, so I picked up a Dollar Tree vase. This is kind of one of the shorter ones. And look at this great burlap they have with the 4th of July section, and then I picked up a little American flag patch in the crafter square. I love this burlap, but I thought it just screamed coastal 4th of July because burlap looks so coastal, and then it has the blue stars on there. So we are simply just gonna cover the vase with it. I thought that'd be a really quick DIY, and so I'm just cutting it. I'm not even going to iron this one. Just cutting this first section that's about the same size as my vase, and just cutting a piece that's going to be a little bit bigger than my vase. And it does fray, so I'm trying to be careful with it as I cut it. You could always seal your ends with Mod Podge if you wanted. I'm using the red and the blue willow on this one, and then I'm also using the white glitter coral because I couldn't find the willow in white. That way I can do the red, white, and blue, but they all look really similar. So I just do a bead of hot glue here on the back of my vase, and once I got a nice straight line of the burlap, I glued that to it. I'm going to pull it tight. I'm only going to be attaching it to the back. It's going to be like a sleeve. Mine was a little bit long, so I'm going to trim it down a little bit, cutting with a grain so I can get another straight line on that burlap. And then I can go back and always trim the top and bottom. So I just do a bead of hot glue on that and glue it to itself, a quick little sleeve. And, you know, not too permanent. Like if I want to reuse this vase for something else, it's going to be really easy to pull that hot glue off the glass. So I just have a little bit of a extra burlap and frayed edges here on the bottom. I just trim that down so that it can sit well with no overlap of the burlap, and then I trim the top as well, trying to like minimize the fraying and make it look nice there too. I'm not going to trim it out or anything like that. I'm just going to leave it with like burlap edges. I think that looks kind of cool. So that's what we have so far. I thought it would look even cuter to add an American flag to the front. So this is the American flag patch from the Crafter Square. They kind of have these all the time. I don't think they're necessarily 4th of July. And I'm just going to hot glue that on to the burlap. Having the burlap there really helps that glue and that like round pattern to the vase, because you can glue it directly to the burlap. And we have a fun coastal patriotic vase. It looks coastal with the burlap, of course, and then we're going to be adding corals. So coral's very coastal as well. I picked up 6 of these. I did 2 of the red, 2 of the blue, and 2 of the white. So the vase is a nice size, so I don't think I'm going to have to trim it or anything. And I really don't need any kind of filler. You could use filler in it, but they kind of are going to fill up this vase really nicely. So I started with just kind of alternating, you know, where I put them in there. You can kind of work with them to figure out how you like to display your coral, what looks best for you. I did it like this at first, and then I wasn't that happy with it, so I took them out and I kind of fanned them out like this, where they are like fans of coral, and then I can just layer them in like that. So that's what I ended up doing. I went red, white, blue, and then I kind of want red on the front too. So then I'm going to do white, blue, and red. All fanned out, but you can arrange them however you like. But that's what I ended up doing with mine. Really fun centerpiece for 4th of July, really easy, and it definitely has that coastal vibe with all of the coral, the red, white, and blue coral, and that cute little burlap vase. I just love that fabric. It's so cool. They had red burlap, blue burlap, they have a stripe pattern as well. I'm going to be using this burlap in another DIY today too because I think it's really cute. Okay, for the next DIY, I'm using a Dollar Tree patriotic chair color of a flag and one of the sailboat shore living signs from this year. I wanted to have a back though, and I figured that one of the calendars from Dollar Tree, the cardboard on there, might provide me a nice back. And look at that, it's just the right size. It's not going to be super sturdy, but I think it's going to work. So I'm just going to use the stripe pattern from the flag chair cover to cover the cardboard back. You could always paint this if you didn't want to use a flag cover. And so I'm just going to go ahead and cut a piece of this polyester out a little bit bigger than what I need. And it's going to cover it. Now, the chair cover is a little see-through on the white, so you are going to be able to see some of the cardboard behind it. So it's going to give you a kind of a rustic feel. So don't expect it to be bright red and white. And if you wanted that, you would need to paint your cardboard white or use like a white sign behind it or something like that. I thought even about just attaching fabric to the back, but I wanted it to be a little bit sturdier, which is why I am going to use the cardboard. So it did have wrinkles in it from being packaged, so I just went ahead and ironed that out. And then I'm going to cut it down just a little bit here I want it to overlap each edge. And then I'm going to go in and just simply Mod Podge the flag to the cardboard. Just a nice even coat all over so it will stick well. And then that's going to provide the background for the back of our sailboat sign. Now they had these in like octopus, other different things as well. You can kind of do whatever you have, but I thought the sailboat would be fun for the 4th of July. So you have a little bit of wiggle room to play with this. If you get it on there and it's not super straight like I did, you can kind of pick it up and lay it back down and move it around until you get it a little bit straighter, which is what I did. And then I just used a paper towel to kind of make sure it's really good and attached and went in and gave it a quick dry. Then I can go in and trim off the excess fabric. I don't want it to stick out from the side of the signs. This calendar cardboard was just a little bit smaller, so I think it's going to fit inside the frame nicely. Again, it's not super sturdy. I don't use cardboard a lot in my DIYs, but it's kind of something that I had that I didn't really have to cut anything down to size. I'm going to go ahead and remove the hanger from our sailboat sign. And I want to do Coastal Patriotic on this sign, but I want it to be very kind of rustic. So let's stain things. So I'm going to start with Antique Wax by Waverly. And I'm just using one of those stencil daubers from the Dollar Tree to stain that. And I'm just using it and going all over everything. I'm going to go in and make things different colored, but I want everything to have like a stained wood base. So I don't want it to be really dark though. So I'm going over it with a baby wipe to kind of lighten it up a little bit. Let that beautiful wood grain come through on the sailboat. And then we can start kind of differentiating the different things on here. It's kind of hard to see what's what on here, but this is the sail. I am just distressing that with that navy blue acrylic, letting that wood show through a little bit. I don't want it to be too thick. And I'm going to do that on both of my sails. So I'm going to decorate the back sail because it's kind of solid, right? And the other one has all the slots in it. And then I just kind of went over that with the baby wipe, kind of pushing that navy down into it, making it look like a stained blue sail. And I kind of want to do the water more of a blue color. I started with this cloudless color and just going over all of the waves down here with it. It's a very light blue color. Once I got it on there and used my baby wipe to kind of rub it all in, as you can see, it doesn't really look blue at all. It's too light. So I'm going to add a little Key West to this. To give me a little bit more of that ocean blue. It's not a color I'm using a lot today, but I thought it would be pretty for the water. So I'm going to go ahead and stain all that color. Now the boat is in there somewhere, like the boat itself. It's kind of hard to see, and I actually forget about it for a little bit, but we will go back and stain the boat too. And then for the flag, I want it to kind of stand out a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and do a coat of white to kind of give it a base so I can paint that to make it look kind of like flag stripes. I thought that would be cute. And this is what it looks like so far with the red and white flag background. I think that looks cool with the background in it. So let's go ahead and attach this. I'm going to use hot glue to glue this all down, all four corners. I don't have a lot of room to do it, but I do have a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and hot glue this down, starting at the top. I did have a little bit of trouble getting the hot glue to stick on this, and I don't know if it's because of what the fabric was made out of or if I didn't have this completely dry, but make sure you have it going to attach. You don't want this part falling off. And the sign itself was pretty flat, so I didn't have to work with any bowing or anything like that in the sign itself. Now for the stars for our 4th of July sale, I'm going to use starfish. I get these little tiny starfish on Amazon. I love them. I use them all the time. I have them linked in my Amazon shop, linked below. And I'm going to try to arrange them in a star pattern like you would see an American flag. Trying to get like flat ones that aren't broken. I don't really care if they're different sizes, but I want to alternate them in that great star pattern. So a little bit to figure out the perfect ones, and I think that looks really good like that. Like the American flag, it's like kind of a staggered pattern for the stars, so I thought that'd be cute. And then a little teeny dot of hot glue is all it needs to attach these starfish. That Ryobi hot glue gun, if you guys have one, you know that it shoots out a lot of hot glue guns, so you might want to use a different one. I was struggling to just get a dot here, but just gluing those all down for a fun little another coastal touch to this DIY. I love to use starfish for 4th of July because why not, right? So that's what it's looking like so far. We're going to keep adding to this all kinds of fun details. So we're going to start with a paint pen. I'm going to do some flag stripes here. So I have a red paint pen. I kind of start out with this like more maroon color. I do kind of switch it more to a brighter red because the flag stripes on the back are a little bit more of a brighter red. But I just went over that white distressing with that and did red stripes. We're going to do some white stripes here to try to do a flag pattern. So we have the stars on the sail. We have the stripes on the flag. Just a quick little bit of sanding. I do touch that up a couple times until I am completely happy with it. I know that when you kind of sand the red, it really bleeds a lot into the white, so I was trying to avoid that if I can. I'm going to go ahead and replace the hanger. I'm not going to do beads or anything on mine. You totally can. I'm just going to tie mine off with just a simple hanger. We're going to have so many cute details on this, especially with the starfish added on there, that I don't think it really needs anything extra at the top. And this is a really thin twine, kind of a bigger hole, so I think it works a little bit better just to actually tie it off like that. That's when I realized you couldn't see the boat. So you probably should do this before you attach your background, because now I'm going to have to be careful not to get this on the background. And I'm like, oh yeah, there's supposed to be a boat down here. So I'm going to go in and stain that with some antique wax by Waverly. This is the first time I've DIY'd, I think, one of these signs from the Shore Living line from Dollar Tree. So you can kind of see it. It kind of goes straight across here, and then I think it goes all the way over here to like that looks like another point of a boat. So I'm trying to find it with my paintbrush, right? At first I thought about trying to make the water look wavy, kind of like that. Then I decided to kind of make it smoother because all of like the lines of water are all smooth looking. And so I just went ahead and did a smooth line. It's going to be easier to try to make it look like there is a boat floating in that water. I kind of go over it with a paper towel, distressing it. It is going to have like a little bit of a blue undertone on it, just because I stained it blue first, forgetting that there was a boat there. But that's okay. So I just try to fill in that area that I would logically think is going to be the boat, right? You can see it now. And kind of touch up my blue as well because I kind of blend them all together. I don't want any straight lines. I want everything kind of just gently kind of transitioning to each other, including the frame. So we're just going to touch that up a little bit. And then I also want to do like the mast, but I don't really want to mess with like the sail that I've already done. So I'm going to just kind of stain the bottom here of the pole on the sailboat and at the very top by the flag. Now it looks like there is a boat. And I told you I did update my red color because I thought it was a little dark. You know, sometimes you finish a project and you're like, I think it needed some brighter red. And that's it. We have our patriotic sailboat. I think it looks so cute. As you can see, using that cardboard kind of gave a texture. It looks a little bit better today. So keep that in mind. You might just want to use the fabric in the back and skip the cardboard if you don't want that texture on there. But I kind of like it. It kind of looks coastal to me. But I love the starfish on there. I think it's really pretty. It's a very subtle 4th of July decoration. It's not too crazy. Okay, next DIY, let's do an Uncle Sam hat. Dollar Tree has like a couple different variations of this hat. It doesn't really matter which one you use. I'm going to cover it with some more of that wonderful burlap from the 4th of July this year. And I want to do like one part of the hat stars, one part of the hat red. That's what I'm going to do. I kind of wanted stripes, but they didn't have a red and white stripe one, and so we're just going to go with a red. I start by just replacing the hanger. I'm going to decorate the back of this so I don't have to worry about all of the glitter and all the crazy stuff going on the other side, right? So I feed this in. Now I end up hanging this a different way, so you can skip this step. But this is how I started with, because I thought I'm going to need to attach the hanger now because I'm going to attach the burlap onto the sign. And I was trying to decide if I wanted to make this like an Uncle Sam gnome, but I already have an Uncle Sam gnome from my last video, and I really love that one, so I'm just going to make it an Uncle Sam hat. So you might want to iron your burlap first. I probably should have done that first. What I'm doing is just kind of sketching out with a Sharpie on the burlap itself, a little bit wider than the top of the hat. That way I can cut that off and not have any of the Sharpie on my fabric. So then I'm just going to go ahead and cut the top of the hat on the inside of that Sharpie line to cut out the top of the hat. Since it's burlap and it frays, I wanted to cut everything first so I could work with it kind of as little as possible. So as you can see, the wrinkles in this do kind of interfere with your cutting, so you're probably going to want to iron it first. I do end up ironing it, but later. Now for the bottom of the hat, I wanted to use the red to kind of make it look like an Uncle Sam hat. Those colors kind of reminded me of that. I thought about painting white stripes on this to make it look like the flag, and you totally could, so that's an option, but I ended up just using red. So same thing, I just lay my hat on there. I'm going to cut out a piece of burlap a little bit larger, like I do about a ½ inch out, and then just cut inside the line just like that. And it's going to get me pretty close, right? For the top of the hat, I just kind of have to guess. So I just cut out what I know and then just kind of go from side to side. And I have like a long red oval. Then I was like, you know what, girl, you got to iron this burlap. And I have my Cricut Easy Press on my craft center. And honestly, I use this more for crafting and for Dollar Tree fabric and burlap than I use it for anything else now that I have my fancy auto press in the other room. So I'm going to go ahead and iron this to make it flatter. It's going to make it easier to attach and make it look better in the final DIY. But I don't want to make it fray too much, so I'm trying not to work with it too much if I can. And now we can go ahead and start attaching this, putting this together. Now, the other side kind of shows you how the hat's supposed to look. It's supposed to kind of look a little bit more 3D, so I'm going to do a strap between the red and the stars. But for now, I can have a little bit of space there that I can cover up with the strap, right? I'm just going to leave this part whole, the oval down here, and I just Mod Podged that on. I did enough Mod Podge so that it will stick nicely, but I don't really necessarily want that coming through the burlap if I can help it. And then this is the top part. I'm going to start going ahead and glue the whole thing down, and then I'll kind of trim the fabric so I don't have like layered fabric there where it kind of overlaps at the brim of the hat. So a nice coat of Mod Podge, smoothing this out. I can always trim up any fraying, and that's when I realized I don't really want those bumps like behind my burlap, so I went ahead and removed the hanger, and we'll just attach the hanger to the back of the sign. That way it'll look cleaner. And then I just cut off the overlapping fabric here so it's nice and flat. And it's already looking so much better than it did before. I'm not a fan of the glitter and stuff like that there on the back and that pattern, but I can kind of use that as a guide there for the strap that I'm going to make. And once I get it glued on, I can go ahead and trim my burlap, making that look so much better, just trimming the edges. And it shouldn't fray anymore. I did think about going around and framing it out with Dollar Tree rope, and you really could, but I just didn't think it needed it. I thought it was kind of fine on its own. So I do have to replace the hanger though, because we did remove it. So to do that, I'm just going to take the twine and knot it and glue it into the existing holes here in the back. It's a Dollar Tree sign, so it's pretty light. It's not going to take a lot to hold it. And we're going to do the same thing here on the other side. That way it'll be hidden and no bumps underneath my burlap. If you wanted to go all the way through, you could go through all the burlap too. Now I thought about using some of the faux leather for the strap, but I didn't really like how it looked. So I'm going to use Dollar Tree rope. You could also, I guess, just use plain burlap, but I wanted it to have that curvy pattern that the strap had on the other side. So I thought rope would be better to get that curvy shape, but I'm going to have to use a lot of it to make my strap wide enough for the size of this Uncle Sam hat. So I am cutting it. I'm not wrapping it all the way around. I want it to be flat, hanging against the wall. And so I'm just cutting each piece down to size first, hot gluing it on until we get enough of a strap. And this is a great use for any spare rope you have. I have a million pieces of scrap rope because, you know, save those scraps. You never know when you're going to need them. And then I'm going to do a total, I think, 5 to make it wide enough for what I want to do. So that looks coastal and cute and is a nice strap there for Uncle Sam hat. And then I want to finish it off with, of course, a starfish for another little coastal touch. This is a Dollar Tree Shore Living starfish. I'm going to paint it, so I probably should have done that before I glued it down. But I went ahead and hot glued that in place because at first I was like, oh, red, white, and blue. I can just leave it white. And then my son and I were like, it needs something. We're like, it needs flag stripes. So we're going to do flag stripes with a red paint pen here carefully, since I already have it attached, on my starfish. Now, starfishes usually are patterned like radially, and so that's what we're going to do with ours. I thought at first about just making stripes go straight across it, but that wouldn't really make sense for a starfish. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in the center red. And then I'll be able to do 2 stripes on each one of the starfish rays. So I'm trying to go around enough on this, but not enough to get any paint on my rope. That's why I really should have done this before I attached it to the sign, but you know. I'm going to do 2 stripes on each one. And it's really cute little flag pattern for a starfish, and I think it's going to be the perfect final touch for this project. My son really got a kick out of painting the starfish like this. He said it looked like a flag, but it also kind of looks like a candy cane. He's like, you should do that again for Christmas. I probably will. I love decorating coastal for Christmas. And that looks pretty good. I was trying to decide if I should leave it like that or if I needed a little white in the middle. Then I decided I was a little heavy on the red right there in the middle, right? So I'm going to go in there with a white paint pen and fill in the middle section white, but I want to keep that first stripe on each one of my rays. So I did a circle, and then I'm just kind of like filling in the area in between each one, and then just kind of shading it to kind of make it make sense. And we have a fun flag striped starfish. I think it was the perfect final touch for Uncle Sam hat. What do you guys think about this one? And if you did want to make yours a gnome, you could use like macrame cord, mop head, any of the different kind of mop heads to make a fun beard on there. Just add a nose as well, and that'd be really cute too. But I kind of like the simplicity of just the Uncle Sam hat. Very cute, very subtle. Now this one is so simple, and these are the starfish from the Shore Living line. Of course I picked up red, white, and blue because the Shore Living line comes out so close to 4th of July, and their stuff is so much cuter than the 4th of July stuff at Dollar Tree. And this is just a no-brainer. Let's make a fun little wall garland with the red, white, and blue starfish. They already have these great, really sturdy rope hangers on them, so let's just go ahead and use them. And they're nice and thick wood starfish too, so you can definitely use a staple gun. So I am just going to staple that, making sure that is secure right there to the back of the red starfish, and we're going to do the same thing with the blue to the white. I thought about knotting the twine, but I ended up not really needing to, and I wanted it to hang flat, so I didn't want any extra knots back there if I could avoid it, and that is so simple. You can use this for an outdoor hanging. You can use this, I think I'm going to use mine for a wall hanging. Very subtle. The red, white, and blue is definitely patriotic. And it's really, really cute. It doesn't scream like crazy 4th of July decorations, but I like it. I thought about adding a little bit of that mesh ribbon that looks like fishnet behind it, but we ended up actually just doing it like this, a very simple little starfish wall hanging for the 4th of July. Okay, this is the project that I was inspired by one of you guys. So I'm going to try my own version. She did hers all together as one. I'm going to do mine as 3 different signs. We're going to use 3 of the Dollar Tree frames, the 5x5. And let me look up her name real quick. It was Billy Sue Dilly on my Facebook Crafty Beach Bums that made this cute sea turtle DIY. I thought about making mine all sea turtles, but I ended up using a starfish too. These are those great ceramic sea creatures that they have the Shore Living line that I love so much. I ordered those things by the case this year. Now, this is some star fabric that I found at Dollar Tree. It's really cute, blue with the white stars. You could always use scrapbook paper or whatever you can find with like a star pattern for the background. This is a nice small star pattern, so I think it's really cute. I'm going to start by ironing it, and I think that's going to be a great background for this project. The frames that I'm using are like these great frames that have glass that slide right in like this. Never used these before, but they're really cool. They come with 2 glasses where you can kind of suspend something in between like a photo. I'm only going to use one of the glass, and I'm just going to use it as a back since it doesn't really have a back to the frame, right? So I'm going to use that for reference, sitting that directly on my fabric. And I think I used this fabric on a sailboat DIY for 4th of July in a previous video. So this is my scrap fabric from that. But I love this pattern. And I am just using my like fine tip Sharpie to sketch that out so I can cut down 3 pieces of fabric to cover the back of each one of my signs. And we're going to have a set of like shelf sitters that are going to be really cute and patriotic, but also definitely coastal. So I'm just going to carefully cut these little pieces out. I love using fabric for background. Dollar Tree does not have a great selection of scrapbook paper. You could always print this pattern out too. It'd be pretty easy to do if you have a printer. And I really love the background. It really made the different creatures pop. And then it's just a matter of attaching the fabric to the glass. I use the glass a lot as backgrounds for my Dollar Tree DIY projects. It's a nice flat surface, and it works well with Mod Podge. So I do a layer of Mod Podge all over, thick enough to hold the fabric on there. And even though this is a square sign, the glass is not necessarily square, probably for how it slides into the frame. It's probably a little bit longer in one direction. So you will have to make sure that you get your fabric going the right way. I'm just testing it out to make sure it's going to work, and it definitely will. I'm gonna like try to modify the frames a little bit too, so you don't see that slot in the top. I don't really like the look of that. It's definitely functional though, right? So for the second one, I'm just using one piece of glass from that frame too, and we're gonna Mod Podge the fabric onto that one, just like we did before. We're gonna do that with all 3 of them, and I'm gonna end up with 3 extra pieces of glass. I'm gonna go ahead and toss those just because they're fragile and I don't want those in my stash breaking. Once I get them all on there, I really don't have to do anything else to it. It's going to give me that nice fabric look. I don't want any kind of a coating on top of it. And so I am going to trim it slightly though, just to make sure I don't have any fabric overlapping that's going to interfere with sliding that into the frame or how it looks in the final project. What I want to do is attach those little sea creatures to the different frames, but I'm going to go ahead and put them together first. So making sure I have my glass going the right direction. It's a little confusing. I'm going to slide that in there. And that is so simple. I love these frames. These are really cute. Now, the top does kind of have an opening on there like that. I am going to glue mine in place so they don't slide out, and so that I can kind of display these upside down because I want to cover up that slide. I don't think that's very attractive for the top of my project. But I went ahead and slid all 3 of my backgrounds in there, and then I just did a bead of hot glue along the top of each one of these to glue those in place so I don't have to worry about those falling out. Kind of smoothing it out too because I don't want it to interfere with how they stand up. And we have our 3 background signs. Now she did hers on one longer sign, so that's another option too. You'll have to check out her project. It was really cute. And we have our 3 little signs, and now we're ready for these great little wall decor, I guess is what they're called. I'm going to do 2 of the sea turtles and 1 of the starfish. They're like a white ceramic resin. They're so pretty. The detail on them is so pretty. I really like using them just white, and so that's what we're going to do. They do have holes in them from the hanger though that I cut off, so I am going to fill those with just a little bit of spackle. Since they're white ceramic, adding the white spackle, you really can't see it. And just kind of push it into the hole there and dry that, and you'll have 3 perfectly little ceramic resin pieces to work with. I chose the sea turtles and the starfish because they're nice and flat, because we also want to add some fun patriotic letters to this. We're going to use the felt Dollar Tree letters in red and spell out the word USA. Or I guess the letter is USA, right? We're going to hot glue these on. I'm going to do this sea turtle like facing up like that. I think that looks really cute. And just try to center that on, hot gluing that to the fabric that is attached to the glass on the back of these frames. And we're going to do that with all 3 of these. I like the idea of mixing it up for a different sea creature. I thought about using 3 different ones, like that spiral seashell one too, but it wasn't super flat, so I didn't think that'd be a great base for the letters themselves. So we're going to have 2 sea turtles. And then it's just peel and stick for the felt letters. USA, I think they'll stay on there. They're pretty sticky. And just a fun way to add some lettering. It's going to look patriotic with the USA on there. But you could always spell out, you know, whatever you wanted with this idea. I think it's really cute. Just trying to make sure that I get them centered on there on the shell, like exactly how I did the other side. And then for the final touch, the white frames are cute, but I thought they kind of needed a little something. So I'm going to use some burlap trim just to decorate the sides and the top. They're going to be visible when these are sitting on my shelf. Now these Dollar Tree burlap trims are really cute. They don't come with a lot in a package though. Of individual shapes like this, and so I'm gonna have to use a couple packages to be able to do all 3, but I just picked one of them. This is like the swirly one, just because I wanted to add a little bit of burlap to this just for the coastal feel. So I just measured one of the signs, both sides and the top, and I'm gonna cut out 3 pieces all the same length. The other option you could always paint some flag stripes, like do a red stripe around the frame with paint or tape or something like that. I thought about doing that, but I decided to go with burlap. So I don't want it to interfere with how the signs stand, so I'm not doing the bottom. And I'm just going to glue this on here. I noticed that it was having a little bit of problem sticking, so you do have to kind of glue all the way down the trim on there. So I'm trying not to use too much glue though, because I don't want it seeping through too much. So just a little bit of hot glue and centering that on the frame. We're going to do that all the way around. And I think this was the perfect final touch for these little signs. They're so cute and simple and a fun patriotic DIY if you still have some of these wall charms. I loved these so much I ordered a case of them and then went to the store and saw how cute they were, and then I ordered another case of them. So I have lots of these. I made some really fun wind chimes in my wind chime video with these. With this spiral shell one. And doing the same thing here on my last sign. We're almost finished with this project. And I'm glad I added that. It really broke up the plainness of just the white frame, but so cute. Look at how cute these are. Let me give you a close-up view. See that beautiful texture on that starfish? I can't decide which one I like more. I think I love the sea turtles more just because I'm a sea turtle fan. But really patriotic. The red letters really make it pop against the blue and white star background. But so cute for coastal 4th of July. What do you guys think? For this one, I wanted to use one of the little shore living baskets. They do have these like in the regular section too. This is specifically one of that was shore living. So it's got the navy stripes, which I thought looked kind of fun and a little bit coastal. We're going to use that with some of these great like plastic balls that look like the glass fishing floats. A sand dollar, and like a rope ball, all from the Dollar Tree. The rope ball I had was a little big. I did have to end up using a smaller one to get everything to fit. But basically I wanted to do like a red, white, and blue. These came in like a teal color, a clear color, and a royal blue color. And so I wanted to see if I could kind of change the color of this without damaging it. So I just cut the net off the very base of the bottom so it can still be intact, right? And I wanted to see if I could frost this with a different color. So I'm using Mod Podge and a little bit of food coloring. And I wanted to see if I could make one red because I didn't have red ones, and I wanted to do like a red, white, and blue for like a little ball and a basket arrangement to sit around for the 4th of July. Now, one dot of red food color kind of made it pink. So I added another, and I'm just going to use a foam brush to try to avoid brush strokes if I can, and do a very thin coat of the Mod Podge all over the plastic ball because I want it to look tinted like the blue one, where you can still see through it, but I want it to be tinted red. So this was just kind of an experiment. It did work. I liked it. There are a lot of steps involved though, because you have to do several coats, or maybe I should have added a little bit more food coloring. Maybe that would have avoided the extra coats, but I'm trying to do a thin coat. So I did one side and dried it, did the other side. As you can see, it kind of looks pinkish still. So let's go over it with another coat to see how red we can get it. I've used this technique with the dishwasher Mod Podge for outdoor solar lights and stuff like that, and it worked really well to frost glass. And definitely a lot cheaper than doing like the spray frosting. But this is what it looks like so far, 2 coats. I still wasn't happy with it, and I still have some of that Mod Podge left. So let's go over it with a 3rd coat to see if I can make it a little bit more red. And again, trying to avoid brush strokes as much as I can by using that foam brush. I think that's as red as I'm going to get it. I like it. I think it looks cool. And I think it works for my purposes. So now it's just a matter of sliding it back into the fishing net. And then I'm just going to use a piece of twine to tie all of that netting back together. So I just kind of tie that off on one side, and I'm just going to go through all the different pieces, pulling it tight to bring it all back together here at the bottom. And then I can tie that off, and it won't be super noticeable that I took it apart or anything like that. And I just wanted to stack like these in a bowl. You can also do like a wall hanging with these. I've done it with like the pretty aqua blue ones. They look so cute, especially if you alternate up a few colors and hang them all together with like a piece of rope. But this one's gonna be a project in a basket. So I use a little Spanish moss for the filler. I think that looks coastal. 2. This is the rope ball that I have. It's a little too big. And I find that out when I go to try to stack everything in this little basket, that it's a little too crowded, and I don't think everything's going to stay in there, and my sand dollar, I don't really have room for it as well. So I do go in and use a smaller rope ball just because I had one. I got some of the rope ball vase fillers from Target, and I think it'll work for this. I did think about just eliminating the rope ball. This was me going back and forth going, this is way too big. This is one of the smaller ones. This is a vase filler from Target, and it fits in there way better. So just trying to alternate kind of which way my glass fishing floats go in there, but I kind of wanted to do the red, white, and blue with the sand dollar. But I didn't want to leave the sand dollar plain. I wanted to give it a little patriotic fun too. So using some Dollar Tree napkins, I'm going to show you how I decoupage this. I love decoupaging these little sand dollars from the Dollar Tree. It's a fun way to add a little personality. If you had some flag napkins, that'd be really cute too. These are like the red and blue stars with a white background, so I'll still get that red, white, and blue, but a little bit more of a patriotic vibe. And it takes a very thin coat of Mod Podge to do this. And when I took the napkin apart, I separated the layers just to give me one layer of the napkin. You want it as thin as possible. And I just do that very thin coat of Mod Podge all over the sand dollar, and very carefully, trying not to rip my napkin, smooth this out right on top. It dries really quickly, and then I can remove the excess napkin. The best way I found to do that is just to use a sanding block and sand that paper off to give you a perfect cut around that kind of abnormal shape that these little sand dollars from the Dollar Tree are. And then I'll also cut out the slots for the different parts of the sand dollar too, so you can tell what it is. Trying to find some small scissors to kind of cut these out. What works really well for these like little inside parts like this to get rid of the excess paper is a nail file. But I didn't have a nail file handy that was going to fit into these slots. But I'll show you what I ended up doing. I just tried to cut out all the slots, all 5 of them, with the scissors. And then kind of push the paper and glue it down on the inside of the slots, just using the end of a paintbrush. And that seemed to work pretty well. We are going to seal this too to make it a little bit more permanent. And the stars are only on the front part of the sand dollar here. So I think that's going to work, but you could use a file for that, just carefully. Carefully sand the inside of those slots. And then I went over the top of it with another thin coat of Mod Podge to secure everything and make sure it is nice and sturdy. And there it is, our little patriotic sand dollar. I think it turned out really cute. And it's the perfect final thing for the little arrangement we have here. I love those glass fishing floats, and yes, you can dye them colors. So we have the red, white, and blue. We have the sand dollar. And I love the little blue striped basket. I think it's really cute. Just another little fun, whimsical coastal 4th of July decoration that's very coastal, but it has that little flair of red, white, and blue for the 4th of July. Now, I love the idea of coastal 4th of July, but I know a lot of you guys like to do just straight Americana decor for the 4th of July, so we're going to switch it up to just traditional patriotic American DIYs for the 4th of July. Now, I'm not super excited about the selection at Dollar Tree for 4th of July, but I'm going to show you how I use some of the pieces to make some really cute festive decor for 4th of July. So for the first DIY, I just removed the hanger from one of their long board signs because I want to make it a vertical sign. And since it already has like the little slats in it, I thought this would be perfect for some flag stripes. So I want to leave the center one white. So I just taped that off with some painter's tape. And then I'm going to add red flag stripes. Since the red really likes to go everywhere, I'm going to take the extra time to tape off the frame as well, just because I don't want to stain it with the red paint. And what I want it to be is a red, white, red flag stripes for the bottom part of this sign. So the red, I had a white sign already, so I don't have to do anything with that one, and it takes the red paint really well. The only thing I was worried about was getting in these corners over here, so I did have to kind of switch it up to a smaller brush to make sure I got pretty good coverage. And I'm using my good painter's tape because I'm trying to avoid having any bleeding there, and it did a pretty good job. So we're going to do the same thing here with our other flag stripe. And what I want to do is have like blue with white stars at the top and then red and white flag stripes going down the vertical side. So I think one coat is all it's going to take. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove my painter's tape. And at first I was going to use the flag banner that you see there, the paper banner, for the blue and white stars for the top part. But I did switch it up to something else. One mistake I kind of made here is that I should have left the top part of it white. Because even with what I end up using, it was still see-through a little bit. You could see those red stripes a little bit shining through. So I should have left part of it white. So do that if you're going to recreate this. So just touching up a few little areas, it looks pretty good. I love the wood frame on that. And this is what I'm going to switch the paper up for. I decided to switch it up to a bandana for some blue and white flag stars. And this is a bandana. It is not a flag. I always have the flag police coming in my comments. And I'm just going to use the material up here for the top. So it's just kind of trying to get a rectangle cut out of that with pretty straight lines. So I'm going to do my best here. It wasn't sewn great. I thought maybe I could even use my paper cutter, but no such luck. So I'm just going to try to cut some straight lines the best that I can with some sharp scissors. So I just cut down about how long I guess I want it to be, like that, and get a straight edge. And I decided to go ahead and cut it where it was folded, just because that gave me a really good edge to cut on to get a straight line. And then I'm just going to do my best to get like 90-degree angles here. I'll have a little bit of flexibility working with fabric. But I got my first 3 lines all cut pretty good. And then for my 4th line, I really want it to be kind of exact. So I used like a pen to kind of crease that a little bit. It didn't really write on it, but it gave me enough of a crease where I could cut that down to size. And that's what it looks like over the red and white stripes. But what I want to do is Mod Podge it down. And I know that, you know, it's going to show through a little bit when I get it wet like that. So I'm just going to put some painter's tape down here and then go back and paint the red stripes on top white. These were the ones that I said I should have just went ahead and left white because it would have made everything a little bit easier. But it's not too late. I'm just going to go ahead and try to cover up that bright red. Doesn't have to be perfect. I just don't want it showing through that blue and white star fabric that we're going to do at the top of this. Now, at first I was just going to leave this like stars and stripes. I think it would be really pretty. It was a little plain though, so I actually took this up a notch and added to this project as I went along. But I have the top part painted, so now I can Mod Podge my fabric on. I'm just going to do a nice even coat all over the area that we painted white. It should be about the exact size. And when you're working with fabric like this, you can move it around a little bit. You do have like a little bit of stretchiness to the fabric, a little bit of wiggle room. I was trying to keep the top of the fabric relatively dry, but make sure it had really good contact with the back of the sign. And then since I changed the hanger, I do need to provide a new one. I'm just going to use one of those little sawtooth hangers. I always pull these off the canvases from Dollar Tree that I DIY, so I usually have some of those on hand. And that's what it looks like without anything, which I think it's really pretty, and it'd be a great backdrop for something else. But if you're going to have it just be a standalone piece, I think it kind of needs something, so I decided to add USA. This is a Dollar Tree sign with the little stars that say USA. I think they're pretty cute. They do have glitter on them, but for the 4th of July, I can go with that. So I didn't really like the navy on the navy for the U, so I kind of am going to scoot that down a little bit so most of it's over the red and white stripes. And then we're just going to go ahead and hot glue these on to that center white stripe. And it just really made the sign super festive. I liked it without the USA, but you would really have to pair it with another patriotic decor item around it. Like you could have it as a leaning sign or something like that. Or you could take it up a notch and add a USA to yours as well. This was a really fun DIY to do. It was super easy, and I think it turned out so cute for the 4th of July. So let me show you what it looks like up close. And I love taking apart like those little hanging signs like that USA sign. Gives you great pieces like this that you can add to another sign. Super inexpensive. So, I mean, I used 3 items from the Dollar Tree. And the bandana was only half of $1.25, so very reasonable DIY. Hey guys, are you enjoying today's video so far? If you are, be sure to hit the like button. It always helps my videos. Okay, the next DIY is so easy. I saw these new gold mirrors at my Dollar Tree, and I picked out one that was the starburst because I thought it would be so cute combined with one of these galvanized metal star signs that they have for the 4th of July this year, because it says God Bless America in gold glitter. And I thought the starburst shape of this mirror really reminded me of an exploding firework like 4th of July. So I'm simply going to put hot glue around the little plastic frame of the mirror and just stick my galvanized metal star on top. A lot of times I don't like to hot glue the metal. It did seem to be really strong. They also have this star in like a maroon color, and I think it would be really pretty like that as well. To kind of reinforce it a little bit and to cover the hole there in the sign, I did use just a metal thumbtack from Dollar Tree to help hold it on, since I'm not totally sure the hot glue is going to hold well. It seems to. And that is all there is to it. Just 2 items from the Dollar Tree. I think it looks really fun for the 4th of July. They had all different sizes of these mirrors at my Dollar Tree. They had just got them in. And when I saw the gold, I just knew I had to do something with some of these metal signs because I wasn't really sure what to do with them. I have one of the maroon ones as well. I think they're really pretty. But very festive. God Bless America. Definitely looks like the 4th of July. Okay, the next DIY, I'm going to pair one of their new metal signs. They're 2-sided like this. I'm going to use the Stars and Stripes side and just one of these plain signs from the Dollar Tree and make something really special for the 4th of July. Now, sometimes these aren't put together well. I find that a staple gun on the top can kind of reinforce some of the frame to make it tight against it. So you might have to work on yours as well. I do notice the new ones that they have are made a little bit better. And then I want everything to be white. I like that it has like the wood background, but I really need it to be white. And I don't really care for like the unfinished material that the frame itself is made out of. So I definitely need to paint that white. I'm just using one of their foam brushes, and I'm just going on the outside and the top of all of the frames, and we're just going to paint this white. I definitely want the frame to be white, and then I want the back of the sign to kind of be like a stained white wood for the look that I'm going for. It's going to be a layered sign that's going to have all different kinds of layers to it. It's going to be really festive for the 4th of July. So once I got that painted, I did go over the top of it with just a little bit more to make sure that it is solid white. And then I'll show you what I'm going to do for the back of it. I want white on the back of it because we're going to make this look like red and white flag stripes for the 4th of July. So I just took a wet wipe and some of that white acrylic paint, And I am just rubbing it into the wood, also along the inside of the frame because I hadn't painted that part of it to give everything like a whitewash stain. And you can still see some of that wood grain peeking through, which is just gonna add a little bit more character to this piece. And I just make sure I get it in all of the corners and stuff like that. A little bit tricky to get the paint in the corners, but I just kind of use my Cricut weeder to make sure that happens. Now for the flag stripes, we're going to use Dollar Tree rulers. I love the wood rulers. I use these for DIYs all the time. I picked up 2 packages of 2, so I'm going to use a total of 4 of them. And they have stickers on them, but you can just peel them off. And then I'm going to cut them down to size where they will fit perfectly inside that Dollar Tree wood frame. I want them to be horizontal like flag stripes. And it looks like about right here is where I need to cut it. So I'm going to stack all of my rulers on top of each other, take that to my saw, and cut them all at once. Easy peasy. Now they have like a flat back, and that is what I want to be on the front. So I'm painting the flat side, and I'm just using a bright red acrylic paint. As you can see, the raw wood is super easy to paint, and it's going to give me these perfect flag stripes. This turned out really well. So I'm just doing that on all 4 of them. I'm not going to have like the blue and white stars part of the flag. I just want the red and white stripes for a background for that adorable Stars and Stripes metal sign. I also did the edges of the rulers just in case you could see them after I apply. And they have a little ridge on the back that was, there in between the stickers. That's what I'll use to glue it on. But first I'm going to go ahead and make a new hanger. So I just used some twine, and for this one I'm just going to tie it just because my twine is kind of thin. I thought that would work a little bit better, so I'm just feeding it through the back and tying it off. I did end up securing the knots to the back of the sign after I did this to make sure that it hung flat against my wall and looks really good. Now that I have that done, we can start putting this together. So I want like a red flag stripe on the top and the bottom to make it kind of look more finished. So I hot glue a flag stripe right there, and I'm just putting hot glue on that ridge because that's what sticks up above, right? And then I went ahead and did the bottom one, and then I can use the other 2 to fill out the rest of the sign. I love these plain signs like this from the Dollar Tree. They're so fun to make your own DIY without having to cover up any glitter or anything like that for sure. So I hot glued all 4 of them down, and then I want to attach the Stars and Stripes metal sign to the top of it. I'm going to go ahead and remove the hanger because it did have like a beaded hanger on here. And then I was trying to decide if I wanted to hot glue it on. I really don't like hot gluing a metal, so I'm going to try stapling it. I had enough thick wood with the wood ruler and the wood sign that it was thick enough that I could staple it. So I actually just used my stapler to staple that on. And then I'm going to cover up that part of it with a little patriotic bow from the Dollar Tree. These are a pretty good value. They're $1.25 for 2. And I'm just going to go ahead and try to replace that gold metal like bread tie it has around it. I don't like the look of that. So I went ahead and tied it off with a piece of twine. And then I decided I wanted like the red and white flag stripes part of the bow to be a little bit separate. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that out, but leave the blue and white star bow connected together. That way I can kind of attach them to the sign individually, so I can have this part of the ribbon go exactly where I want it because I don't want it to block that cute sign. I just went ahead and used my staple gun to staple that to that top ruler right about there. And then I'm just going to replace that tie with this twine just by wrapping it with the twine until it looks pretty good, and then tying that off. I want to attach that part of the bow to the top. It's going to cover like the hanger hole, the staples that we used for both of those. And just trying to get it going the right direction. It looks like the smaller part of the bow goes on the top like that. And I'm just going to attach it with hot glue, covering up all those parts that kind of put this DIY together. So we have our stars, we have our stripes. It looks perfect with that little metal sign. And it takes that small sign and makes it a larger decor piece that looks so cute for the 4th of July. This would go just about anywhere in your patriotic decor. And I absolutely love how it turned out. Stars and stripes. I love the metal signs. They're a great addition to the 4th of July items that they have at the Dollar Tree. So here's kind of a close-up view of how that turned out. I'm always thankful when Dollar Tree spells their signs right. I have actually fallen for that quite a bit where I am shopping too quickly and get misspelled things. So it's always nice when they can spell right. Okay, check out these little firecrackers from the Dollar Tree. I think this is so cute. I've never seen these before today when I was at Dollar Tree, and I had to grab them. So they are connected with like little plastic pieces. I, of course, want to remake these. They are covered in that tinsel stuff. It'd be great for a party, but it's not really something I want in my day-to-day 4th of July decor for sure. So I thought we would make it more high-end by replacing all of this tinsel. So it's just a matter of getting it off. It's lots of different colors, red, white, and blue, and it was actually pretty easy. It has like kind of an interesting cage where they hook together the two taller ones, and then the smaller one in the front kind of hooks into both of them. I do like the little sparkler on the top for like a lit firework. So I'm going to leave that on there, but I really just wanted the plastic cages because I'm always trying to find ideas to make like fireworks. And it's hard to find round items like that from the Dollar Tree, so this is perfect. I want to try to wrap them with some of this like wicker material that the hats and the placemats from Dollar Tree are made out of. So I picked up a red and blue placemat and one of the new hats in the blue and white pattern. I think that's really cool. Now, it's a little tricky to get these started, especially this first row, but I don't think I'm going to need a lot of this. I'm going to do one blue, one red, and one blue and white. So I just kind of cut it where it starts, and this one ripped pretty easily once you start cutting the plastic thread. And I just went around one time until it kind of comes to the seam for the outside of it, which is the tricky part. But you know what? I think that's all I'm going to need so I can save the rest of that placemat for other DIYs. I'm going to start by attaching it to the bottom like this and wrapping it around. It's okay if that like little lip shows. I don't mind that. That's going to help it stand up better. But I just hot glue that in place, and I'm just going to slightly overlap that and wrap it with this beautiful blue material. I think it kind of looks like a seagrass look. I love using this for DIYs. And I just gonna wrap it all the way around on this one until I get to the very top. There's like little, notches sticking out. I'm gonna try to cover those up, cut it down, and hot glue it. But I'm also going to have to cover the top of the firecracker. So I cut off another piece, and I'm just gonna cut like a half of a circle so I can piece it together around the wick like that. And then I can always trim it down to size. So I'm going to hot glue those in place. It was kind of a double layer, so I really only had to cut one of those. And I had 2 layers that I could glue to the top. And then I'm just trimming down any of the excess that might stick out at the sides to make it look nice and round. And we have our first firework, like firecracker. I'm going to go ahead and attach them all together, kind of like they came. But for now, that one looks really good, and we can get started on the next one. Now, the next one I'm going to do with the red placemat, and I wasn't as lucky with this one. I'm going to go ahead and leave that tab on there, which is kind of hard to work around. I'll show you how I did it. This one, I don't know if it's because I started at a different place, but I had trouble unwinding it. I find that the hats are my favorite for unwinding with ease, but the blue one went really easy too. So maybe I just started it kind of in a bad space because it didn't really want to tear, as you can see there. But we're going to make it work. I could kind of get it to tear this way to a point, and then it didn't really want to go anymore. So, you can always cut it if you're having trouble separating it. It's kind of like a plastic, like kind of like fishing line material that keeps these things together. I just went ahead and cut it just to finish it off because I knew I didn't need very much. I just need like the outer portion of it, which is a little tricky to get off of there anyway. So I just cut that down, and then we can wrap our red firecracker with it. I gave up and cut it. I don't know why I was having trouble with that one. And just like before, I'm going to start at the bottom, hot gluing this, and we'll just have to work around that tab because I want to leave it on there. I think it's important to it when I go to attach them together, right? So once I get here to this point, I just cut a little slit right where the plastic piece is, but not all the way through, so that I can wrap it around, no problem, like that. And when I get to the second tab, I do the same thing. I just cut a little slit and keep wrapping it all the way to the top. I think this material looks so much better than the tinsel that was on there before. The colors are really patriotic, so I think it's perfect. So I got all of that covered. All I have to do is cut the little half circle here for the top and separate the two pieces and hot glue those on. Just make sure your hot glue is dry on those before you let go of them. I kind of use the plastic pieces as a guide of how to put these on there and gluing those together. Definitely not messing with the top of the firework because I like that. I think that looks really cute. So we have our red, we have our blue, and now the smallest firecracker we're going to do with the hat. They have these in blue and white and like hot pink and white, and they have the little purses in this like two-tone now too, which is new with the Dollar Tree. I really like it. I picked up some of the pink and white ones. I thought for pink flamingos DIY, so stay tuned for that. But the blue and white one I thought would be perfect for 4th of July. So you saw how easy it was to unwind the hat. It just comes right apart and gives you lots of material to work with. I wasn't sure how much I was going to need since this was a smaller firework. And so I'm kind of leaving it attached to see how much I need. I want to save it. And these have small tabs on them. And I just kind of was able to actually get that to go through the material because it's kind of like a waffly shape. You can kind of move it around and slide things through it if you need to, which is exactly what we did with this one, so the tabs still stick out. I have two sets of tabs that stick out on that, and then just cutting the little piece to cover the top of it. This one's not too layered like the placemat was, so I did have to cut 2 of those down to size and just hot glue those to the top. I thought the blue and white would look really cute for the front firecracker as I put them all together for a decor piece. Now I've kind of made a larger version of this with a Dollar Tree like candle. So you'll have to check that out in one of my previous DIY videos from I think last week. I just hot glue the 2 tabs together here for the back. And I had kind of covered up some of this, so it only had slots for one set of those tabs coming out of the smaller firework. So I thought I'll just cut the other 2 off. I don't think I really need them, and I don't want to worry about cutting holes in that red firework. So I just hot glue the one set of tab in as I glue them all together like that into a set of firecrackers. And then to make sure they stay together, and I think it looks cute too, I decided to wrap them in twine. And I want to wrap it around several times because this twine is kind of thin, kind of make it look like a bundle of fireworks. And I'm simply going to tie it off here in the front. It's going to help keep it together. It adds a little bit of decor to the piece. And just kind of arrange that to make it look nice and cut off the ends. And we have a set of DIY firecrackers that are so cute. I'm so glad that Dollar Tree has gotten these, and I've never seen them before with their 4th of July decor. So here they are, my red, white, and blue firecrackers wrapped in that great material. I think the blue and white one is my favorite. I like the two-tone. That's so cute. And they look classy for 4th of July decor, something that you can leave out all season. Now for the next DIY, I'm going to make a big sign using one of these United States signs plus two of the large hanging signs like this. These are even larger than the shelf signs. And I needed large for the sign because this is going to be really big because the United States sign is really large. So this is going to be like a multi-layer sign too. Kind of like the other one we did, but a much larger piece. I'm going to put the two longboard signs together just like I do with the shelf signs. Just by doing a bead of hot glue and putting them together just like this. Mine were pretty flat, so they glued together nicely. And I'm just making sure everything is secure. And I did sand like any of the excess hot glue off. And I also need to take care of the holes there in the side of the sign. I'll show you how I do that here in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and paint the whole thing white. I want like a white background to this. What I want to do is cover the United States sign from the Dollar Tree with blue and white stars. And I want to have a red and white stripe flag background. So we're going to do our own DIY flag stripes on this. So I painted it white one coat and then just filled in the holes with a little bit of the Dollar Tree white spackle. It's okay if you can see them. I just kind of wanted them filled up. They didn't really make sense in a sign like this. And now it's time for my painter's tape. I want like a red stripe on the top and the bottom. I think it looks better that way. And then I'm going to do the third stripe here in the middle, kind of overlapping both of our signs. So I'm putting together two pieces of the skinnier painter's tape to represent a wider white stripe there. And then I can paint my three stripes on here. I already painted it white, so one coat of the red should be plenty. And doing flag stripes on pieces like this is so easy to do, especially if you have a little bit of painter's tape. Sometimes I use the Dollar Tree painter's tape. I do find that it isn't as high quality as the one that I get, like the brand name stuff that I get at Walmart. I do find that that bleeds a little bit less. And I'm trying to be kind of careful too, using a foam brush as I paint my red and white stripes on. And look how beautiful this turned out. Whenever I do flag stripes, I always like doing the red stripes on the top, on the bottom. It just makes the piece look more finished to me. Now we can start with the United States. Doesn't matter which one you get. I chose this one because it's nice and large, and I happen to have a piece of Dollar Tree fabric left over from a previous video that I got at Dollar Tree. It's blue fabric with white stars, so it's perfect. Now the trickiest part was cutting this out because I have to cut it down perfectly to size. So I put it face down, went around the whole thing with an ink pen, trying to get as much detail as I can get on that, and I'm going to have to try to cut it down. So this took a little bit of patience because I wanted to cut it as perfectly as I could. I tried to cut off all the ink so that I didn't really have fabric overlapping the ends of the United States. And of course, the continental United States. I guess I'm cutting off the keys down here, right? And just trying to take my time and cut this well because it's gonna really affect how the piece looks. And I want to stack signs kind of like we did before. I have another one of the galvanized metal Dollar Tree 4th of July signs that I thought would be perfect for this, and I think that's going to look really cute on top of the blue and white star United States. So I think I did a pretty good job of cutting that down to size. Since I'm using fabric, it's going to cover up all that glitter, everything that's going on there, and just make it look so much more simple and cohesive. I really would like to find some more of this blue and white star fabric. I actually got it like in the crafter square, not in the 4th of July section. I know they do have the blue on burlap star pattern this year, which is really cute. And I guess you could do it with that or like scrapbook paper too. If you could find a piece that's large enough to cover the sign like this. And you could always do a smaller version too. They do have the smaller wood United States signs, but I wanted to go large on this one. And I Mod Podge all the fabric down. I did it in 2 steps just because it's such a large sign. And then I just kind of smooth out my fabric to make sure it's nice and attached. And look how cute that looks against the red and white flag stripes. Did have a little bit of wet paint over here that bled a little bit. So I'm just going to touch up that one little flag stripe. And then I'm going to layer this together like I said. This is another one of the metal signs that I got, Home of the Free because of the Brave. And we're going to layer all these signs together. And whenever you layer Dollar Tree signs like this, you can take the thin signs and it makes it look so much better and I think more substantial. I'm going to go ahead and kind of trace exactly where I want to put this because when you're working with hot glue, you're working fast and sometimes you can get things glued on there. They're not quite centered and stuff like that. So I thought if I had a little guide mark on both of the top corners, that's going to help me glue it on there a little bit better. So I kind of use hot glue just all over the place because I want it to be attached at every single point and stay on there when I go to hang up this large sign. And I just remember my little guides here. And that helps me glue it on a little bit better. I think it's looking really cute so far. I can't wait to see what it looks like all put together. I do need to replace the hangers since I'm using it horizontally, right? So I decide at 4 inches in from each side of the sign, I'm going to glue on some of these little hangers that I just have left over from other Dollar Tree signs. I always save all of my hangers because they definitely come in handy. And I think hot gluing them on, since it's a thin sign, I can't really screw them on. I think that's going to be plenty, and it's going to help me be able to hang this large sign evenly on the wall. Now here is the sign. They are 2-sided, which is kind of cool. And I'm going to put that right here in the center of the United States, Home of the Free because of the Brave. It's really cute. Since it's metal, I'm going to use some of the Gorilla Glue tape. I just had some of this on hand, and I'm going to use that to glue it on. I thought that would be really secure and help with the hot gluing the metal kind of part of the sign. So I'm just pulling off the paper on that and gluing that to the fabric right here in the center. And then it has a hanger in it, so I use one of the just metal thumbtacks from the Dollar Tree to kind of punch that in. It's going to help hold it on there as well. And it actually, with the 3 signs, it made it, kind of thick enough to not stick out of the back. This is how it turned out, our Home of the Free because of the Brave sign. And so we used 3 or 4 signs, I guess, from the Dollar Tree because we used 2 for the back sign. So 4 signs from the Dollar Tree and a little bit of fabric, and we got this wonderful patriotic sign. I think it's so pretty. And it's really large, actually. Now for the next DIY, I've never seen these before, but I saw these at Dollar Tree today. They are little flag star battery-operated lights. So I thought we could make something fun with those. I picked up like a horizontal sign like this, and basically I'm going to use it as a little DIY tray. I think it's going to be the perfect size. So I just removed the word that was on it. I removed the little hanger, which I will save for another DIY. And I'm going to use it like a little tray to make a candle holder. I wanted to cover it in blue flag stars. And so I'm going to use a Dollar Tree bandana, and I thought we could kind of just wrap the tray a little bit like you would wrap a present to cover the top and the sides of it. So just lining that up where I'm not really going to have any of the red and white gingham visible, and I'm hot gluing that to the back of the sign frame. And you can use whatever you can for this. I just thought that if I used a pre-made sign like this, I wouldn't have to actually build the tray. And it was really easy to do. So I'm going to do the same thing here on the other side. Hot gluing that, keeping it kind of tight, covering the top of the tray with the blue and white stars. And I don't really need all this excess fabric. It's kind of in the way at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it off. Cut off like the red and white checks all the way across on the 2 pieces that we've glued down. And I told you we were going to be wrapping this like a present. So on the sides, we're going to kind of, just like you wrap a present, do little corners to cover the entire thing. So just trying to trim this up a little bit. It was kind of hard to get a straight cut, but you're not going to be able to see the bottom of it anyway. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut off the red and white checks from the side as well, just to give me the star fabric for our bandana. And then I'm just going to fold it, hot glue that on the back of the sign as well, which is going to be on the bottom of it. And none of that red will be visible. It's all going to be kind of hidden. So I just kind of fold the corners up like that so I can get some tight corners. I'm going to glue it here like we did for the other sides and just kind of pull it as tight as I can. I don't really want all this excess fabric and stuff on the bottom of it, but once I get it glued down, I can kind of trim that up a little bit and make sure everything is glued down. If there's multiple layers like that, I can just glue that down as well. I want it to look really clean from the front. And I really wanted just to make like a patriotic tray to display the beautiful patriotic candles. So I just did the same thing here on the other side. We're going to wrap it like a present. I want to put hot glue on the back of the sign first. And try to get the corners here as tight as I can. Just a really easy way to cover something like this with fabric. Since I kind of wanted to wrap it all the way around, I didn't want any rough edges on this because I wanted the top of the tray to be covered with the stars. So that looks pretty good. I do want it to have feet, and so I'm going to use some of those little wood cubes from the Dollar Tree. I do want to paint them. I thought about red, but I decided just to go with white, nice neutral color. That I can paint all 4 sides of those. That's going to be exposed. And these are going to be the perfect size for 4 little feet for our candle tray. And I just cover the 4 sides where you're going to be able to see it. I don't really care about the side that's going to be attached to the tray or the one that's going to be on the bottom. And I just hot glue these in place. As you can tell, they're nice and small, so they fit really well there on the back of this side. So if you don't want to build your own tray from scratch, you can definitely do it with a Dollar Tree sign like this. And I didn't even have to paint it. So it's looking really cute so far. These are the candle holders I want to use since they're like tea light size. These come in a 4-pack at Dollar Tree. I'm going to use a total of 3 of them. They're just clear glass, and I think they're going to fit perfectly on this tray, just like this. And then I thought it would be fun to kind of fill them up with a little bit of sand to kind of raise the candles up. And Dollar Tree does have colored sand, so I picked up some red and some white sand. And I thought we would alternate red and white like flag stripes going on our blue and white star tray. So I'm just filling up the 2 on the outer edges with some of the red sand. And then I'm going to do the center one with some white sand. And then we can put the little battery-operated candles right inside. These are really cute. They actually change colors. As you can see, all different colors, and they kind of flash, which is kind of fun for 4th of July, right? And I'm just going to kind of push those down into the sand. The sand was great because it raised them up where you can see the great star pattern or flag pattern on there. And just making sure they all work. And they all did. I was so excited to find these. They also had like, I think Eagles and Uncle Sam hats as well. So super cute for the 4th of July. Now I'm going to go ahead and attach them with a little bit of hot glue just to make sure they stay in place on our tray. I probably should have done the next step first because I went ahead and glued them all on here, and then it was kind of hard because then I decided I wanted to cover the sides of the tray as well. And I didn't really want to spill the sand and stuff on there, so I'm going to have to be kind of careful how I do this. But I just got some red satin ribbon that I got at the Dollar Tree and some thinner white satin ribbon. And I'm going to do flag stripes on the edge of the tray just to add a little bit more red, a little bit more color. And I'm just going to glue that all the way around. So I started on the back, just hot gluing that to the fabric, one side at a time, and making sure that kind of lines up with the top of the tray. And the reason I'm using like a skinnier white ribbon too is there wasn't a lot of room. So with the red ribbon being a little bit bigger and the white ribbon being a little bit smaller, it fit on there perfect. And again, I do want all the sides. I did overlap it a little bit so that my corner would not actually be the seam. I thought it might look a little bit better if I had the seam be on the back of the tray like that. And I would show you what it looks like right now, but I don't want to spill my sand. But this is what the ribbon looks like. And you'll be able to see it here in just a minute as soon as we're done with this DIY. So I'm going to start on the back as well with the white. And I didn't think I had any of the white skinny ribbon from Dollar Tree, but I guess that I do. It's a little bit harder to find sometimes. I try to get all of my ribbon at Dollar Tree just because it's so inexpensive. Sometimes their ribbon selection can leave a lot to be desired. So I'm going to have the seam kind of be in the same exact place, kind of wrapping it a little bit around the back of it. And so we have red and white flag stripes on the side of the tray, blue and white stars there on the top, and those great flag star candles in all of the candle holders. Very festive, and it looks so cute. So here's kind of a close-up view of my candles and that fun patriotic tray that we made to display them. Whenever I have small items like that, I try to make a larger piece to kind of group them all together and make it a little bit more of a substantial decor piece. This is what it looks like when they're not lit up. And here it is lit up. They flash all different colors. Super cute for the 4th of July. Now this DIY, I want to show you how easy it is to take one of these cute bags from the Dollar Tree. I just got one of these today at my Dollar Tree, and I think it's so pretty for a sign. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut the front panel of it off. It has great size as well with that star pattern. I might be able to use that for another DIY. But I just want the front sheet where it says Land of the Free. I like that it's kind of simple because it's going to provide me a really simple background that I can then decorate. And I'm going to show you how to make this into a permanent sign. So I love the Dollar Tree wall shelves. I use those all the time. And I'm going to use 2 of these together. And that is going to be the perfect size to create a sign out of this. So I don't need any of the hangers, the rings, or anything like that. I just need the thick shelf, and I DIY with these all the time. Whenever I see these in my Dollar Tree, I pick up a whole stack of them because look how thick they are. They're like raw wood. You can add them together, 2, 3, 4, make any sign you want, as large as you want, and no warping or anything like that because they're nice and thick. I'm just going to hot glue these together just like that. Super easy, and we have a great background to put that Land of the Free bag sign on. I'm just trying to make sure that everything is nice and flat. So I did go ahead and like sand the little hole hangers. I'm not too worried about them. I just didn't want any of the splinters to interfere with this when I glue this on. And I kind of see exactly where I want to lay it. And it looks like right about here is going to have everything well centered. So I just laid my wood sign on top. I'm going to use an ink pen just to go around all 4 sides so I know exactly how to cut that down. I'm going to go ahead and cut that plastic bag down. And even though it's made out of plastic, it's like a reusable plastic material. It's not shiny, it's nice and thick, and it's actually pretty nice to craft with. And it cuts so well. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it down. I'm not going to frame it or anything, but it's also not going to be a hanging sign. So I will show you how we're going to display this. Isn't this cute? It's such an easy way to make a nice large sign like this. And the Dollar Tree bags like this can be so cute. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to try it on for size here on our sign. And then it's just a matter of attaching this. And we're going to add more to it because it's a little plain at this point. So I do Mod Podge all over the back of my shelves here. A nice thick coat. I want to make sure all of it is glued down, and it's kind of like that plastic material, so I want to make sure it has good adhesion. I just go ahead, lay that on there, and smooth it out. I was able to cut all the seams and everything off of it since I made the sign a little bit smaller than the bag. But making sure it's all glued down is crucial. You don't want any bubbling, and you don't want any corners coming up. So if the corners are even a little bit loose, I just add a little bit more Mod Podge to it. And you also don't want any material hanging over. So if you cut it a little large, you can still kind of trim it at this point to get like exactly the size that you need. And I'm just going to trim it up a little bit here and there to make it perfect. Now, this is what I'm going to use to decorate it. They're called Patriotic Scatter, but they're actually kind of large. So I picked up these. These are like the fireworks, and I think they're so cute. I'm going to use I think a total of 3 of them on here, basically because that's all I have room for, and one on the left, right, and bottom. And then I'm going to use some craft wood that I have to make a base. We're going to make a large standing sign for the 4th of July with this. So I like the way that looks. I'm going to go ahead and hot glue all the fireworks on here. I've never seen these before. I think they're really cute. They also had like the patriotic popsicles, and I believe some other items as well. But I think they really look festive. So I just go ahead and hot glue all 3 of those in place, making sure I'm not really covering up any of the words or anything like that. Kind of having them shooting off in all directions. Now it's time to make the base of this sign. I'm going to cut it a little bit longer, just slightly longer than the sign itself. And this is just like the craft wood at the Dollar Tree. I actually had some old wood in my garage that I just cut down into kind of usable pieces just to get rid of it. And it's really came in handy for crafting. I don't want it to be just plain wood though, so we're going to paint it. I'm using navy blue acrylic, which is going to go perfectly with the sign because the land of the free is written in navy on there. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint the top, the front, and the back, and the ends of this board sign. It's going to provide the perfect base, nice and heavy, to hold up a large sign like this. The ends are a little raw, so you can kind of get the paint kind of squished down inside there to make it sure it picks it up. But as you can see, 1 coat of paint is definitely all that takes. I do want to make sure I get it really dry though, so that my hot glue has something secure to stick to. I do another bead of hot glue on the bottom part of the sign, kind of like when we stuck the 2 signs together. And then I'm gluing it on a little bit more towards the front than the back. And that's just so I can add some braces back there to even add more stability to it. It seemed pretty stable, but it's a pretty large sign. So I kind of wanted to add some little supports there in the back. To do that, I'm just using some of the little Jenga blocks from Dollar Tree. Sometimes you can get these that are already kind of stained. Doesn't really matter. You're not going to be able to see them back here on the back. And I just hot glue that to the base and the sign just to make it a little bit stronger. And there it is, our land of the free sign. I think this is so cute. It's really large, really festive and fun for the 4th of July. And I was going for standard patriotic 4th of July decor with these DIYs today. As you know, I also do coastal 4th of July here on my channel, but some of you guys want just straight 4th of July patriotic DIYs. So this video today is for y'all. I think it turned out really cute. What do you guys think about this? It was a bag from the Dollar Tree. Hey guys, have you checked out my new website yet? It's craftybeach.net. It's my new website, and I'm really excited about it. I'm going to be doing a blog post for every video that I do here on my YouTube channel. You can go to my website and click on one of the blog posts. It's going to pull up all of the pictures for everything I made in that video. You can pin them on Pinterest so you can remember to make them. And you can scroll down and find the corresponding YouTube video to go with it. I also have everything together by season. I just started this spring, so I have Easter, I have beach, and now I'm going to be putting 4th of July on here. I even have handy links like my Amazon shop and my Etsy store, so you can find the other items, and everybody loves these memes. And all together on craftybeach.net. It's my new website. I'd really appreciate it if you checked it out. I'm trying to get it updated with all of my new 4th of July decor on there as well. Now for the next DIY, I picked up 3 of the wood beads, one of these macrame towel holders from the Dollar Tree. Basically, I just want the dowel out of it, so you can always use like a plunger handle or a large dowel like this. And I want to make some like door chimes, wall chimes, if you will, but I want them to be really festive. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the wood piece bright red with some acrylic paint. A little makeup sponge brush works great for this because I don't want it to get too much paint on it. And then I want to hang these little wood beads down to kind of make like a hanging mobile, or I'm going to use mine for a door chime. I'm going to put it on my door to go to my garage. I think it'll be fun. Using all these items from the Dollar Tree. So these wood beads have larger charms on them than they've had in years past at Dollar Tree. And I thought they'd be perfect for this. I'm going to use the USA one for the middle. And I'm going to cut off a little bit more of the string than I need for the bead, so I have enough of it to be able to tie it to the dowel here on the top. And I want this to be kind of centered. I just tie that in a double knot. And I love the red, white, and blue wood beads hanging down. That's going to be the lowest part of my chime. And you know, you could even use these outside as wind chimes as well if you wanted. I'm going to go ahead and save those beads. I'm going to need them here in a minute. Here is another one that I got. I made sure to get 3 different ones. This is like a heart shaped a flag, and I want it to be, this is going to be the shortest piece. So I don't need very much. I'm going to cut off some excess twine so I have enough. And I'm going to double knot that around just like that. And I just kind of estimated how long I wanted those to be. I will have to be more exact here with my 3rd one because I'm going to want it to be the same length. I did notice my 3rd one had a little bit shinier beads than my other ones had. And so, you know what? I'm going to use these that I saved just to make sure they're all the same. I don't know why. They look a little bit glossier, shinier. And I want them all to be uniform. So I just went ahead and counted out exactly the same, putting it in the same pattern, blue, white, red, as I did the other side. And then I can just cut the little Uncle Sam hat off the ones that had a little bit shinier beads. I just thought if they were all together and one of them were a little bit different, it would be noticeable. And then I just tie the little Uncle Sam hat on here. And we have 3 of the 5 pieces of the wind chime complete like that. I also want to add some of the metal stars they have from the Dollar Tree. And I had a couple of them left over from another DIY. I have a navy one and I have a red one. Aren't they so cute? And these are perfect for the chimes because they will bounce off the little wood pieces and make that clinking noise like a wind chime. So this is what they look like. I do like that they have red, white, and blue beads as well that are smaller, but I need them to hang down longer. So I'm going to have to kind of piece this together using twine. I'm going to have to kind of DIY the wood beads for those, but I want them to go right about there so it hangs down in like a V shape there at the bottom of the chime. So I just used some Dollar Tree twine, and then I was trying to decide, I want to use as much of the wood beads as I can from those. And they didn't have a lot on there, but I did have 2 extra ones from the previous DIY that I used these metal stars for. So I was able to get lots of red, white, and blue beads. I'm going to go ahead and lay them out in a pattern. Red, white, and blue. Kind of see exactly what I have. So it will be the same on each one of them. And then I'm just going to tie off the metal star here for the bottom of the chime. And kind of string my own wood beads on these just so that I can make that a lot longer than the hanger that was on there. It doesn't have to cover the entire string like the other three did, but it's definitely going to give it a little bit more red, white, and blue fun. About half of it, I guess, is covered with the wood beads, and I do like that they are a different size as well. So we're going to do the same thing here on the other side. I'm going to have that one hanging right about there. And so I'm just tying off the red star, and we can thread the wood beads on this one as well and tie that to the top of the wind chime. So same pattern on both of these. I just string that around. I want to hang these the same length. And so I'm trying to keep them as straight as I can so I can kind of get these right. I decided if I had them maybe at this angle, it might be a little bit easier to measure exactly where I need that star to be. So everything will be level. And then I'm just going to tie this one off as well. If you find that your twine at the top is moving around where you don't want it to, you can always hot glue them in place, but mine did pretty well up there. That looks pretty good. I think that's going to work. Now I just need to work on the hanger. I removed the macrame hanger that was on there before just because I didn't think it went with the red, white, and blue festive vibe of this. So we're just going to DIY our own hanger on this and tying some more twine here at the end. And I do have some of those red, white, and blue larger beads left over from the wood bead garland that I took apart. So trying to sort those out so I can kind of do a pattern in those. And I can decorate the hanger with wood beads as well, because if I didn't, it would look kind of plain with all of the wood beads going on the door chime. So I think I have plenty. I'm going to kind of scooch this down a little bit so you'll be able to see this. And we're just going to string the red, white, and blue beads on this, kind of forming a pattern and repeating it on the other side and then tying it off on the other side to create a beautiful wall or door chime. I love how this turned out. So once I got about halfway, I reversed the pattern on my red, white, and blue beads so it would be symmetrical with each other before tying it off on the other side. And these on the ends are kind of the crucial parts to get tied really tight because that's going to be your hanger. It's going to hold everything up, especially if you're going to put yours on a door like I am. So I can hear the chimes, but they look so cute hanging down. This is how it turned out. Really fun. And I had a great time putting these together. So a fun idea for the wood bead garland from the Dollar Tree. I think they're really cute and definitely a fun way to use those. And the little metal stars make great wind chimes. And that actually inspired me to make a full wind chime out of them, which you will see in the outdoor 4th of July DIYs. We're going to switch it up to outdoor. I wanted to decorate my front porch for the 4th of July, so these are all for that. The first one is going to be a 4th of July wind chime. We're going to make it out of these metal stars from the Dollar Tree in the 4th of July section. I love them. I picked up a bunch of those. I actually have one of their like little mini wind chime kits, like from a summer wind chime, that I have the pieces left over for from another DIY today. So we're going to use that little circle. I'm going to use one of the metal yard stakes with the flag pattern on it from the Dollar Tree for the lower part, and then one of the bamboo rings, the smaller one in the 2-pack from the Dollar Tree for the top of the wind chime. So for this piece, I do have to take the yardstake off. It's pretty easy. It was kind of on there with like a double-sided tape. So I like that better. It's easier to remove than these normally are. So just removing the tape on that, and then there's the little metal pieces here that we're holding that on. I'm just going to bend them back and forth with a pair of pliers, try to get those off cleanly. I thought we could have all of the metal stars coming down and they will be making the noise for the wind chime. And then this piece will be, I think it's called the clapper, the larger piece that's in the middle. So that hangs longer than everything else. So I think that is going to work perfectly. Now for the stars, I picked up 2 packages of red, 2 packages of navy, and 3 packages of white. And I thought that would be just the right amount to make a really beautiful wind chime. So I'm going to have it go red, white, blue. And I'm actually going to have enough to do that 4 times around the ring. So they already have the wood beads on them and the twine, so I might as well take advantage of that. The little ring on the top of the star is not all the way connected. And so you can get your twine to go through there, but you might need to use a pair of pliers to kind of bend it a little bit. Put your twine from your other star on it, and then don't forget to bend it back so it stays on. So I think that hangs perfectly, and why make more work for yourself if you don't need to? And I also like the red, white, and blue wood beads on there as well. So let's go ahead and get started on the other 2. So again, I want to do red and white, and I'm just going to dangle them down by actually hooking them to the hook right above it, just like that. And then I'm also going to add the navy to it, so it will be 3 stars long. I got the idea for this because I made a 4th of July like door chime with these metal stars are part of it, and they make beautiful noise. And I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know why I didn't think of this before. These are perfect for wind chimes. And so just kind of the top ones I can kind of like make the twine go to the other side to make sure it stays on. I won't be able to do that with my 3rd row here with the navy, but that's okay. As long as you close your metal circle back up, it should stay on there just fine. So again, I just kind of put that on there. I was thinking, can I do that? And then I'm like, I can't pull it back through to the other side because the twine's not long enough for the star to fit through there. So that's okay. I'm just going to bend it, I connect it, and then bend it back tightly so it will all stay together. And this spacing actually worked out really well on these. I don't know why Dollar Tree doesn't do very many good craft supplies for 4th of July. Every year I'm disappointed. I was disappointed again this year, but the metal stars are one thing that I was not disappointed about. I think they're great quality for $1.25 for 2 of those. So we've got the 4 main parts of the wind chime done. So now we can start working on that middle section. That's why I picked up the extra package of white. And I can do 2 whites hanging like one on top of each other. And then we can have that big metal star from the yardstake that could hang at the very bottom. So same thing, I'm just going to connect these the same exact way. And then I'm going to have the bamboo ring for the outer of the wind chime. And then that little wooden piece from the wind chime kit is going to be perfect for the middle. That can connect this in the middle and kind of make everything go together. So I will need some twine for this one because, this was the yardstake. And I don't necessarily like using hot glue on metal, but I think it will work well on this. I'm just going to make sure that I put some under and over to make sure that it is well glued on. I think it will stay just fine, but you might want to use a stronger glue if you want, since this is going to be going outside. So once I have that glued together, I can just go ahead and use that same ring that we're attaching everything else. And I just take my twine up through that. And I want it to hang down lower than the 3rd star on all the other ones. So I'm going to have a little bit more twine there, just kind of seeing what looks good. And then I'm just going to simply tie this off here. I'm using the twine that is already attached to all the metal stars whenever I can. So definitely taking advantage of that. And I'm going to use that to attach that to that little piece from the wind chime kit. They have these little wind chimes in all different things. You'll see later on I use the rest of that wind chime kit for another DIY. And I just string this through and then I just have to knot it so it will hold it steady here at the top. And I didn't have a lot of twine to work with up there, but I had enough to make it work. And then I'm going to actually put twine in the other 3 holes in that wind chime kit so that I can connect it to the bamboo ring. And I'm also going to use it for the hanger. I kind of wish I would have made these a little bit longer because I didn't anticipate that I was going to be using them for the hanger. So I did have to kind of make my hanger a little bit longer. You'll see here in just a minute. But for now, I'm stringing it through from the top, right? So I'm knotting it on the opposite direction than I did the piece that hangs in the middle. So I need 3 of those. And then this is the bamboo ring. Now, I wanted to make it festive too for the 4th of July, so I thought covering it in some of the Dollar Tree burlap 4th of July ribbon would be really fun. So I just kind of take a corner like that, and I'm just going to have it at as an angle. And since this bamboo ribbon is so thick, it's going to cover this really easily. And I thought that was kind of a fun idea since I didn't really want to paint it. But it adds some festive to it. So I cut off a piece to make it a little bit easier, and then I just tightly wrap it around, kind of pulling it at an angle, just trying to get it as close as I can to that ring shape. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then just hot glue it like right on the inside there where I can cut off the excess ribbon. And I'm glad I decorated that part of the wind chime because, 4th of July, you're going to want everything to be a red, white, and blue and fun. And the star pattern on that is perfect for this wind chime. So right here in the middle, I'm going to string this on. It's going to connect, of course, in 3 places here. And I just take the twine and just tie it in a double knot here. And just try to space that out like every thirds, trying to keep the little wooden disc kind of centered. That's going to be important later. And I did have enough twine on there to tie it together, but this was the part that I said I wish that I would have made it a little bit longer because my hanger is a little bit short on it. I did go ahead and make it this way though, just because it's easier. And then I just tied more twine to this later on to hang it up because it is a little short and if you are going to be hanging it from somewhere high outside on your front porch. And that is exactly where we're going to hang mine. So that part of the wind chime is done, and we have all the other 4 parts put together already. So now it's just a matter of attaching those. So I kind of want those evenly spaced out as well. I'm using the existing twine, just cutting the knot off the top so that I can then tie it to the bamboo ring. Just like that. And then to kind of space it out, I just go like directly across to the other side. I have a total of 4 and do the same thing. And we're going to do the same thing here with the other 2, just kind of spacing them out the best that we can. This was a really easy wind chime to put together, and it's so festive and fun for the 4th of July. I love the red, white, and blue stars. The wood beads are really cute on there as well, and I think it's going to sound really great as a wind chime. I have so many wind chimes that I've DIY'd for you guys out in my Florida room. I definitely needed a wind chime for the front porch as well. So it's kind of hard to show you from this angle, but I did hang it up here in my house on my entryway here just to kind of give you a little example of what it's going to look like hanging outside. I was taking my pictures and editing like late at night, so I couldn't really hang it outside, but this kind of gives you an idea of what it's going to look like and how it's going to hang. Okay, for the next DIY, I picked up 2 of the arrow signs from Dollar Tree, the long skinny ones, and some of the 5-gallon paint stir sticks from Walmart. Those are really cheap. They're like $2 and something for a 3-pack. Dollar Tree patriotic napkins and some dishwasher safe Mod Podge. You could use outdoor Mod Podge for this, but I don't have any. But I heard that exists, so I'm probably going to have to pick some up, right? I want to take the arrow signs and make them look like fireworks. And I thought the skinny one would be better. I can just cut off the end of the arrow there where it's like doesn't really look that much like a bottle rocket or fireworks. But it's just a matter of removing the hanger, which has some like little tiny staples there on the back. Just trying to get that out cleanly and remove the tags here from it. I'm going to make 2 yard stakes for outside, and I want to see if I can make them look a little bit more high end than the ones from the Dollar Tree. The ones that are like particle board, they don't hold up in Florida weather at all. They fall apart immediately. So I thought if I used real wood, I can make some more high quality yard stakes. And you could also use these for like a planter on your front porch as well. I want to paint the top of them different from the long part of the firework, if that makes sense. And so I'm just going to do blue and red. I do a navy blue acrylic here on the top, and just using a makeup sponge because I don't need a lot of paint on this. I squirted out a little bit more than I needed, but I'm also going to do just the sides and underneath. But I'm not really going to do the back or anything. You're not really going to be able to see it back there. But I wanted like red and blue, of course, for 4th of July. And then I want to cover the arrows with the napkins from the Dollar Tree. They have fun, festive 4th of July prints, and I think they're going to look really good on fireworks. And then I want to use the 5-gallon paint stirrers as the yardsticks. And since it's all high quality wood, I'm hoping it holds up. But the dishwasher safe Mod Podge hopefully will make them weather resistant. That is my plan anyway. So let's go ahead and start one of these napkins. I want to do one with the words all over it, which is so cute, and then one with the white and the red and blue stars. So these are 2-layer napkins. And then I discovered that this pattern doesn't like repeat. So I really can only use a square because it kind of reverses direction and goes the other way. I thought about doing it sideways like that, but I really kind of want the words to be like where you can read them when you look at them. And so I might have to shorten these little bottle rockets or fireworks or whatever they are down a little bit. So you have to separate the 2 layers. Sometimes I use a little piece of masking tape if I can't find the corner to start it on. And then I'm just going to roughly kind of cut out one of these. I want to use all of the height if I can. So I tried to get as much of that as possible, but I also want like a straight line there at the top. And that's when I'm like, yeah, I do need to cut them a little bit shorter. They also have the arrow signs from Dollar Tree that are shorter and fatter. You could also do them with these, but I kind of like the skinnier ones better. Those actually have holes drilled in them too that you would have to fill. Now, this is the dishwasher safe Mod Podge. This is my plan to try to make it waterproof. I hope that this works. I'll have to keep you posted. But I'm doing a thin coat of it on here. I've used this in the past for a couple things and it worked pretty well. So we're going to try it. I just cover the wood part and the sides. I want like the design to kind of carry over on the sides, but not necessarily on the back. And then I just lay my napkin right on top. And I got a new toy there on Amazon. I'll have to add this to my Amazon shop. I really like it. It is a Mod Podge brayer and like squeegee. And it says to keep it clean to use a little bit of wax paper. So that's what I did. I've always used my Cricut brayer before and I've kind of made it a mess because probably I wasn't using wax paper on it and getting glue all over it and stuff like that. So I kind of like it. I love the Mod Podge tools and the Mod Podge glue. Of course, I use it all the time. So I went ahead and dried that, leaving the excess napkin on there. That's fine. I can always remove that when that starts to dry. And then I'm going to separate my second napkin the same way by pulling that white layer off the back. And again, I'm only going to need the one little quadrant of this. And I love using Mod Podge for DIYs. It's so much fun. You can make really custom stuff like this. So it's a perfect fit. So I'm going to go ahead and Mod Podge this on. One thing it says about the Mod Podge, you are going to want to wait 2 hours before you do a second coat of Mod Podge. And I didn't really do that in this video, but before I put them outside, I probably will. I know there's also a curing period that you're supposed to use for this, but I want to put these out fairly soon, but I'll let them, I guess, cure for at least a couple of days. And I'll try to put them in a halfway protected position, but I always love yard stakes for my landscaping. It's just that they fall apart immediately, the ones from the Dollar Tree, so I wanted to see if I can make my own. So just using the wax paper and that Mod Podge brayer on that one, I make sure it's glued to the top and flat and along the sides. Once I get it dry, I can go ahead and remove the excess napkin by just using a sanding block right there on that back corner. And I'm going to get a really nice clean cut here for my design. And I just love the texture. Anytime you like decoupage with the Mod Podge with napkins, it's really a really fun way to create. So I just use my sandpaper here on the other one, removing all the excess material. And I did get it good and dry, so I am going to go do my first coat of Mod Podge here. Just a thin coat all over to try to start to waterproof this a little bit. And I guess you could probably also use like sealer on it and stuff like that too. I'm going to be sealing some of the products or DIYs we make today since they are going outside on my front porch. And I think that looks pretty good. I made sure to get them both dry. Just making sure I have all the paper off the bottom of these as well, and they look super clean. I think they look really fun. What do you think? Now, I chose the 5-gallon paint stirrers because they're nice and long and they're made out of a durable wood. I'm just going to flip over my arrow and just use my staple gun to go through the 2 pieces of wood. Perfect. It doesn't go all the way through. I have enough thickness here. And I'm going to attach it 3 times, and I do that with both of them to try to make it fairly sturdy. And just nailing those in all the way. And we have 2 really cute yard stakes. I really hope these do hold up well outside. I think they will since they're made out of real wood. It's just the decoupage that I'm a little bit worried about, but hopefully with that dishwasher safe Mod Podge, it will hold up to the Florida weather. This is how they turned out. Again, I think these would look really cute if you had like a house plant on your front porch or something like that. Or, of course, in your landscape. I think that's where I'm going to use mine because your girl doesn't really have a green thumb. I did not inherit that from my mother, unfortunately. Hey guys, have you joined my private Facebook group yet? I always have it linked in the description below. You get to see what everybody's been crafting and when I post new content. I also have a Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest. My handle on everything is Crafty Beach on YouTube. Okay, let's get back to the DIYs. This one is my favorite. This is the wind chime kit that I actually got the little wood circle from. I'm going to use that, 2 of the wood boxes from the Dollar Tree, 1 with a star cut out because I thought that would be really fun for the 4th of July. And I'm going to actually put those together. And I kind of wanted to cover up the handle holders here in this one. And I do have some of the wood dominoes from Dollar Tree from the toy section. I haven't found these forever, but I love crafting with these, but it's probably not necessary, but I am going to go ahead and close this up, at least from the inside by hot gluing those over the handles. And the reason I am going to leave the stars open is because, of course, that's festive for the 4th of July, right? What I want to do is also try to seal this from the outside, and I have found that using masking tape actually works pretty well for this. I've built other items like this before. What we're building today is a patriotic wheelbarrow planter. So I have another DIY video where I made a little red wagon for the 4th of July that I filled with fireworks. And so this is kind of a bigger project than that, but I love how it turned out. So just using a couple pieces of masking tape on both sides, trying to make sure they kind of start and stop at the corner. That's going to be an easier transition for the tape. And just trying to clean up any excess tape on that. I want a big, like, looking planter, so I'm going to stack 2 of these on top of each other to make it look bigger for my wheelbarrow. And the little ship wheel is actually going to be the wheel for the front of it. So I want to attach these together. Since this is going to be outdoors, I kind of wanted to weigh down the bottom. And since there's not going to be anything in that part, I thought Dollar Tree rocks would be perfect. So I just put some rocks in there to weigh it down so the wind doesn't blow it over was my intention with that. I like to weigh down my outdoor DIYs if I can. And then I do a bead of hot glue all the way around on the top edge, and we are going to sit the star tray on top. I did make sure these were almost exactly the same size. I noticed there's a lot of size variations with these, but I got pretty close here. I do want to try to cover the seam here between the 2 wood boxes too, but I don't want to cover up that star. So I'm going to try to go below that and just try to cover up that seam a little bit more with the masking tape. and try to make it look like one big planter box. Now it's time to start painting everything. This DIY has lots of pieces and things going on, so I wanted to get a head start on painting everything. So I'm using like a fire red acrylic. I want this to be a bright red wheelbarrow, and we're actually going to be doing a flag design on the sides as well with Dollar Tree napkins again. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint the sides. I'm going to paint the bottom. I'm even going to paint the inside just because I want it to be a really finished product. And next year, if I want to use it for something else, like not a planner, I'll already have like a painted red inside. And so I won't have to worry about that if you could see it. But today we're going to be using it for a planter. So just painting the inside is going to be a little bit extra. I did notice that the masking tape didn't take the paint quite as well, so I did go over the masking tape with another coat of red. And then I'm just doing the top. At first I wasn't going to do the inside, but I'm glad that I did. It just makes it look so much more finished. And also using a smaller brush, I'm going to just kind of paint the inside of the stars as well. I want to do a red, white, and blue wheelbarrow DIY for this. And so this is the wheelbarrow part where it's going to be the planter. So I'm going to make it red. I'm going to make the wheel navy. And then I'm going to make like the handles white for my red, white, and blue theme for this. And it just turned out so cute. It took me a while to put this DIY together, but I'm very happy with how it turned out. So these are little bamboo pieces that I actually get on Amazon. I love the fact that they're flat, but you could always use dowels or whatever you have for this. They're also nice and long, so they're longer than popsicle sticks. I do have these linked in my Amazon shop. I craft with these things all the time. I really love them. I am painting them white acrylic. The bamboo is kind of like a little bit, feels like it's kind of sealed, so it does take a couple of coats to get those good and white. And then this is the flag napkins that I picked up at the Dollar Tree that I want to use on the sides. So it's a little shorter than the side of the wood crate, but that's okay. And I really didn't mean to paint the sides of them that we're going to have the napkin on them, because I think that red's really going to kind of show through the white stripes, the white stars on the flag. So I'm going to go ahead and do a couple coats of white on both sides just to give me kind of a clean canvas behind the decoupage. I don't know what I was thinking. I could have just left these parts like natural on the sides, but since the napkin doesn't go all the way, I did put down some painter's tape so I could at least have red corners on it. Since it's going outside and it's a wheelbarrow, I really want it to be pretty from every direction. So I'm going to do the same thing here on the other side. We're going to have a flag over here as well to make it look super patriotic. And covering up that red, I did have to do a couple of coats of white. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it is going to make the decoupage look better. So an important step. So we have all of those done. This is what we're going to use to make the wheel. You could also use this in the smaller, the little charms, the shore living line, if you can find it. This was a summer wind chime, and I'm going to just try to cut off the little knobs around the sides, and it's going to make a wood wheel that is going to be just the right size, I think, for this wheelbarrow. Since it is a wind chime, it has like some odd holes in it to hang it. So I do have to kind of fill those in with a little bit of spackle. So I'm going to have like a solid surface, but you can kind of see the tire pattern that's in the ship wheel, right? So I think that's going to be a really cool wheel. And for some reason they have writing on them. I don't know why. So I did have to go over that with a couple coats of white just to cover that up before we start painting this piece too. So the wheelbarrow itself is red and white. The handles, those long pieces of bamboo, are white. And then we're doing this one in navy. And you can always mix up your shades of blue. Sometimes I do. Going really traditional with these 4th of July DIYs, so I thought I would stick to that navy color. I think that looks really good. And just using a makeup sponge, we're going to paint both sides of it. Super easy to paint with this raw wood. It just soaks up that acrylic paint. Now that I have it painted, I'm going to start trimming it. So just regular heavy duty scissors. These are like my KitchenAid scissors that I use for crafting. They're super strong, cuts right through that thin Dollar Tree wood. And I can cut all those little handles off my ship wheel, and it's going to give me a round tire. Now I did do a little bit of sanding to try to make it a little bit rounder. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I think I got it pretty good. And that did expose a little bit of wood from cutting those off. So I'm just going to touch that up with a little bit more of the navy paint until the whole thing is blue. Now I'm trying to paint all of my pieces first before we start assembling them. I will have more pieces that we'll have to kind of add as I try to figure out how exactly I want to build this. This is kind of a plan I came up with myself, so it was a little trial and error for the build, but I was able to get it to work. Now, this is the napkin with a flag design I love, and just using a piece of that tape. I'm using that to help me separate my two layers. And I'm just going to need 2 of those for 2 of the flag patterns. You could always use like scrapbook paper or try painting the flag on yourself too. But I already have these napkins, so I thought these would be perfect and an easy way to do the flag pattern. Just trying to make sure my sides are straight because you're going to be able to see those. The top and the bottom will be excess napkin, so that will get cut off. And we're just going to Mod Podge this on. I did not use my dishwasher safe Mod Podge on this one. I don't know why. I should have. I do end up sealing the whole project though, so maybe it doesn't matter. But I just did a thin coat here on the white side of my wheelbarrow and just lay that on there. I want like the blue and white stars to be up upper left-hand side. And just smoothing that on with my new toy brayer. And then I go over it once it was dry with another thin coat of Mod Podge. And I think that looks really cute. It really gave a lot of personality and character to the wheelbarrow. And just carefully using my sanding sponge there to remove the excess napkin from the top and the bottom. And that side looks pretty good. Now, originally in my plan, I wanted the wheel to be functional and to turn. I was able to do that with my little red wagon. With this one, I wasn't able to pull it off. I think it's because that little ship wheel was so thin. And in my plan, I wanted it to work, but I ended up having to make it stationary, which is going to make it way more stable to be outside. So I don't know. I don't really need it to work. I was just trying to be extra. But I put some Mod Podge here on the other side and lay my other napkin right on top. And we're going to do the same steps. Just bray it on there. Give it a quick dry. Sand off the excess napkin, but not until I just go ahead and do a coat on top. I don't always do a coat on top if I'm doing a napkin, but definitely outside, I definitely wanted to seal that napkin on there with that beautiful flag pattern. So as you can see, lots of steps involved in this one. And I was like, this was the part where I was trying to make my wheel functional. So I did have a dowel. I painted it white because I wanted the dowel to go through the center of the wheel and make it turn. But I'm going to kind of cut that part out because it didn't work. Now, this is the handle part. It's also going to go all the way through and hook to the tire part of the wheelbarrow. So I needed 2 of them. They're a little bit longer than I need, so I'm just going to use my miter scissors just to cut off a little bit of the length. And I think that looks pretty good. I want them to go like that, kind of in a triangular pattern. And to make some extra braces and to make some legs for the wheelbarrow, I'm going to be using some of the little Jenga blocks from the Dollar Tree, the little tiny ones. I'm going to paint 2 of them red, at least the visible parts. I'm going to leave one side just regular wood. And then these 2 are going to be the legs. I ended up needing 4 instead of 2. So if you are following step by step, be sure to paint 4 of these white. Because if you only do these small legs, it sits like level, and a wheelbarrow is supposed to be slanted. So I did have to make the legs longer by doubling up the Jenga blocks. But they required a couple coats of white. It seems like that acrylic paint really soaked in with them. And then the red pieces are actually for braces to hold the white handles and bars. It's going to form the structure of the wheelbarrow underneath. And this is kind of my plan. So let's go ahead and get started. It's really important to get this little white piece in the right place. I kind of lay it out how I want and do a bead of hot glue right where I want it. I'm going to be attaching the bamboo on its side just like this, which isn't super sturdy, which is why I have these little red braces that we made with the Jenga blocks. We're gluing that to the white bamboo piece and also to the wood box like that. And then we're going to do the same thing here on the other side. Now, it's really important to get this exactly right. So I'm going to go ahead and sketch it out with a pencil first so I know exactly where to put my hot glue on this one so I can keep everything kind of even. And I wanted a little space there at the end for my axle, for my tire, but I ended up having to actually just use Jenga blocks to kind of make the tire more stationary. But I did originally do it with the dowel, and it just wanted to tip over a little bit. So I want it to be sturdier. I did reinforce that with a little extra hot glue there onto those. And then these are going to be the little legs for the wagon. So I'm just going to kind of glue those inside that white structure like that, one on each side. And I use Gorilla Glue hot glue. It works pretty well on wood. I have it hold up pretty well. So hopefully this will too. So this is what we have so far with my wheelbarrow construction. You can kind of see some excess hot glue on the bottom, but that's okay. You're not going to be able to see that. I wanted to be as strong as I possibly could make it. Now that's when I realized I needed my legs to be longer. So I need 2 more of the Jenga blocks to make my legs longer. And then the third Jenga block I'm going to be using instead of like the axle between my tire to make it stationary. So it is what it is. I tried to make the wheel turn. If it would have been like a chunkier wheel, it probably would have worked. So I'm just going to cut one of the Jenga blocks into like little squares. I just want little flat cubes of that. And I just use my miter scissors. They actually work pretty well on these little Jenga blocks from the Dollar Tree. And I got my miter scissors on Amazon too. I also have those linked in my Amazon shop. Once I cut down my little cubes, I'm then going to paint them white too. It's going to kind of blend in with the structure that is attached to the blue wheel. Kind of like that. So I'm just going to hot glue that onto the center of my tire. So I'll have a nice area to attach to both of the sides. Just like that. And as you can see, that's going to fit in there really nicely. It even kind of bows out a little bit, which is fine. It's just going to make it tighter. I'm going to hot glue one side at a time to try to make it a little bit stronger. So I glue it to that side. I let it sit for a bit, and then I go in and glue it to the other side. And hopefully that holds up. It definitely made it way more stable. It doesn't tip over like it was when I tried it with the axle. And then I needed to make these longer, so I'm just gluing the Jenga blocks end to end to make my legs longer. There is a little bit of a seam in them now, but that's okay because it made the wheelbarrow look way better because the back of it where the handles are should be taller. If you know what I mean, it needs to be kind of slanted down like that. Now, I did tell you I was going to put these outside. I'm going to put this on the table on my front porch. So I'm going to seal it with some Mod Podge gloss sealer. It's an acrylic sealer. And I'm just going to spray all over. Hopefully that's going to make it hold up a little bit better. And, you know, I use regular Mod Podge on it too. So the area I'm going to put it doesn't necessarily get wet unless it rains sideways, which it might. So we're going to fill it up with Dollar Tree flowers. I put 2 of the little foam blocks inside, and then I want to use some of the floral moss. I'm using the brown floral moss. That seems to be all I can find right now at Dollar Tree for some reason. And I definitely wanted to cover like the sides too where the star cutouts are so you can't see the green foam. and a little bit to cover the top as well. I picked up these flowers at the Dollar Tree. They are the Stars and Stripes flowers that they have every year for the 4th of July. And I'm just going to kind of alternate stars and stripes. And I think all 6 of them is going to fill this up nicely. Just pulling them off and using the little stem that's attached to push that down into the floral foam. So that's what it looks so far, but I wanted this project to scream 4th of July. So I'm going to use some of these little cupcake toppers. I love these. I think they look like exploding fireworks. These are also from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to do like 2 of those. One kind of like jetting out from the flowers on each side like little exploding fireworks. I think they look really festive and cute. And then I wanted something kind of taller for the middle of the planter. And so I was trying to see what I had from the Dollar Tree. I have like some dowels that actually have like stars on them. They're like glitter stars. They have red, white, and blue. This is the white one. The only problem is mine had a stain on it. You know, sometimes the Dollar Tree products do. And so I did like the white glitter, but I ended up having to paint the whole thing with white acrylic because of the stain. But that's okay. I'll leave the glittery side on the other side. It did give it like an interesting texture painting it. But I've got a lot of red and blue going on already. And so I thought a white star would look really cute as like a pick sticking out in the middle of the flowers just to make it even more festive. Now, it has like a rather big stick on it. I'm going to replace it with one of the skewers from the Dollar Tree just because it's skinnier and pointed. I thought that would be easier to stick down into the floral foam in the middle of that. And so I'm just going to remove this one and attach the new one. I did decide it was a little too long, so I trimmed it down a little bit more and just hot glued the skewer to the back of that foam star. And just put that right down here in the middle. So I've got fireworks, I've got flowers, I've got like a big white star in the middle. And I definitely think that this wheelbarrow screams 4th of July now. It was so fun to put together a little trial and error with my design of the wheelbarrow. But I hope you guys love this one as much as you guys loved my little red wagon. That's one of your all's favorites. And so I wanted to give another little vehicle construction a try. This is how it turned out. I think it's so cute with that flag design on the side of it. Looks so festive for the 4th of July, especially with the flowers. You could also do like fireworks, whatever you could think of to put inside. Okay, the next DIY is I'm going to use one of the chair covers from the 4th of July section at Dollar Tree. I love using these for crafting. They're great. They're big. I thought this would be a perfect, like, large outdoor flag pillow for my bench in my entryway. So it's big enough to actually cover like a regular pillow, like a bed pillow. So that's what we're going to try it with. It does have a lot of wrinkles in it, though, from the way that it was folded up in packaging. So I'm just going to give it a quick iron. No high temperatures or anything. I didn't really know how well this material would hold up. But it's kind of like polyester feeling. I think it's going to hold up well for an outdoor pillow. I think I'm going to put it on my bench near my front door of my house, and I think this is going to be so festive and fun. This is just an old bed pillow that I have, just a standard size. Did have a pattern on it, and the chair cover is very thin. I thought you'd be able to see the pattern through, but I do have some of these pillow covers with the zippers that kind of protect your pillows. So I'm actually going to put one of those over it first. I guess it will actually protect the pillow too, and it will help prevent that pattern from coming through on my white stripes of my flag. So I'm just going to put my pillow right in there, and look how it is just the perfect size for this. No stuffing or anything. Just a full size bed pillow right inside. And this is just one of those cheap, like $3 pillows, I think, from Target. And it's a little tight here at the bottom, but what we're going to do is just do a no-sew pillow just by using hot glue to attach that 4th wall, because all the other ones are already sewn. So almost all the work is done. And I don't know why I never thought of turning this into a pillow before, but I just looked at it and I was like, oh my goodness, it is calling to be a pillow for my entryway, and it's so large and nice. And it was really inexpensive to make. I'm just using an old pillow, a $1.25 chair cover, and I did have to use, a pillow cover as well, but I already had that. So I'm just using hot glue, working one section at a time. It was a little tight. I was trying to hot glue the cover to itself and not to the pillow. So I just kind of smush the pillow up in there as much as I can and try to keep everything as flat as I can, straight across, making sure I glue up the entire seam. Now, if you want to get fancy, you could do like a burlap trim or something around the edges, but I really kind of like the simplicity of just the flag design on this one. And it was so easy to make. I actually can't believe it. And you can see it's taking up my entire workbench. It's nice and large. And I'm going to show it to you inside my house, but tomorrow I'm going to be moving this on the bench outside. It's so big. I think it's going to look so festive out there for the 4th of July and so much like less expensive than if I were to try to buy something like this. This is it pretty much taking up my entire hall tree to show you how large it is. And I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier. The chair cover works great for this. Okay, we're doing outside, so I had to do a wreath for my front door, right? I picked up one of the star wreath forms from the Dollar Tree. These were not necessarily in the 4th of July section. They were just like in the Crafter Square section with the wreath forms. And I'm going to use Dollar Tree rope. So this is the 11-foot rope, but I don't want to wind it. I don't want to weave it. I want to try to make this easier if I can. So I'm going to try to cover like the outer star, the inner star, and the middle star, I guess, with rope. But I also need to do all the crossbars, which there's lots of them. And I don't really want to wrap them with string, but I want the look of that. So what I'm going to do is the first rope, I just went ahead and unwound it into 3 parts. Actually, just one of those parts was plenty to wrap all of the crossbars on this. And then we can go back in and add the other rope later. These are the 11-foot white rope, and I only ended up needing 2 packages for the whole wreath, so not very many. I'm going to start by flipping it over, and I'm going to glue it right here to get started on my first crossbar. Now, when I first started out, I didn't really know how long I needed this to be, so I spent like way too much time like kind of threading this through, where really you should just cut off a smaller piece. I learned after a little while that that would definitely be the easier way to do it. So as you can see, it just takes longer to string all this through. I don't know what I was thinking. I guess I was thinking that I would just keep doing one piece, but it makes it look like when the rope is kind of uncurled like this, it makes it look like I took string and just wound it all the way around. But as you can see, I didn't have to go around it very many times because of the width of the rope, which is one reason why I'm using this. You could also wrap it with like macrame cord and like white if you wanted to, but I was trying to stick with like a white rope pattern on this one. So same thing starting here. I do have to cut and start and stop on each one because I want all the other stars to be open and flat and ready for the rope. So I'm just starting, it doesn't matter, you can start on the point of your star or the inner part, it doesn't really matter because I'm just simply wrapping this around and cutting it off and kind of just hot gluing it to itself on the back to kind of hide where it starts and stops. And when I go over it with the rope on the stars, I think it will kind of hide a lot of that behind it. Now, at first I thought about painting the rope after I put this together and kind of making it look like a star and stripe pattern like a flag. But I really loved how the rope turned out. So I actually left the rope as is and just added more patriotic touches to it. So we're just going to keep doing those crossbars all the way around. It definitely got easier once I started cutting the pieces, making them shorter like that, and I can just pull them right through. And I guess there's a lot of them. Every like inner part and outer part of the star is going to have one of those crossbars. And I want all of them to be wrapped because I don't want you to be able to see any of the wreath form sticking out. I love Dollar Tree like wreath forms like this, and sometimes I like to weave them. It would be a little bit more difficult to weave this one because of all of the strange angles and stuff like that on it. And so I thought this was a fun, easy way to DIY it. And I absolutely love how it turned out. It looks really high end. So this was probably the most time consuming part of it, was just wrapping those inner parts. But again, if you cut the little strands smaller, it's definitely faster. Now this rope is longer. It's the 11 foot. It's kind of skinny. I was trying to make sure that it's going to cover the wire wreath form well without any of the wire wreath form showing. And it looks like it will. So I'm glad that I used this one because it's a lot longer. It's going to go a lot farther. I am going to have like a rough end here where I have the end of the rope. I'm just going to make sure I do that the same all the way around on every star. And then I'm going to have that actually be the top of my star wreath. And I can kind of cover that when I adorn this. So just starting by hot gluing it there to the tip and then hot gluing it to the metal. It's really kind of important to put like a silicone mat or something down like I have underneath that. Because your hot glue is not going to stick to that, and you can just put the glue on the top of it like that and put the rope right on there. If you don't have a silicone mat, just maybe you might need to pick it up a little bit so it doesn't glue it to whatever surface you're working on underneath. And we're doing the large star first, and I'm just doing one section at a time so my hot glue doesn't set up or anything. And then I'm making sure I get it centered on there really well because, again, I didn't want to see any of this dark metal wreath form. And you can kind of see the cool star pattern forming on this. I'm always looking for new ways and materials to DIY these wreath forms from the Dollar Tree and new ways to do it. So this is a fun new way. I really love how it turned out. So again, I want my rough edge of my star to be in the same part. So I started the same place. I started my outer star, and we're just going to glue one section at a time to do the inner. And like I said, I only used 2 packages of rope. So this method without wrapping and weaving definitely takes less rope. So it's a little bit more economical on that front as well. So we have 2 of the 3 stars wrapped in rope. The little one in the middle should be really easy. Again, I just start and stop at this same part of my star so I can kind of cover that up. I don't want you to be able to see any of those rough edges. And we just glue this all the way around. Now, in my initial idea, I was going to paint the top left quadrant blue, and then I was going to do red flag stripes on the rest of it. But once I got it all put together like this, I really loved the simplicity of just the rope. So let's just decorate it with a patriotic bow from the Dollar Tree. These are really cute. They're like kind of a burlap base. And so I'm just going to take a little bit of macrame cord and tie a loop here just to make a hanger for my wreath here on the top. That looks a little too long. I don't want to hang it that low, so I'm going to shorten it just a little bit. And that makes a perfect little wreath hanger. And then it's just a matter of adorning it with that beautiful bow. Look how pretty that is. It's like got plastic on the back of it, so hopefully it will hold up well to weather. It has like a metal bread tie, which I'm not a big fan of, but I don't think you'll be able to see it. And it's functional, so I decided just to go ahead and go with that. So I'm just getting it untangled and kind of even. I'm going to tie it on that top like crossbar like that with the bread tie. You could always use twine if you didn't want to use this like kind of junky bread tie on it, but it actually seemed to work pretty well. So I started by kind of tying it towards the top. I did like it a little bit lower, but since I have it on that crossbar, I was able to kind of wiggle it around and move it and adjust it until I'm super happy with it. That's what it looks like at the very tip. And I was trying to decide if I wanted it there, if I needed to move it. But again, I could just slide it down just a little bit here. and I got it like right where I wanted it. And I think that provides the fun flag stripe pattern on there, but you still get to see all the beautiful rope and the pattern that we made there on the star wreath. It's not a huge wreath, but I think it's kind of perfect for the 4th of July. Very simple, but it looks like really like high end and beautiful. I love it. You have like all of your like 3 stars inside of each other. I just think it looks really fun for 4th of July, but also super festive with that fun bow. And those bows from the Dollar Tree, I think it's a great deal for $1.25 for them. They're really nice. Now, have you seen the door banners this year? These are really nice. I couldn't believe how well these are made. I'm not going to have to do hardly anything to this. It is almost the perfect size to cover the glass next to my front door. And it has the stars in the stripe pattern, has a built-in hanger on the top. The only thing I was afraid of is that the wind in Florida, it's going to be going all over the place, and I want it to be weighed down. So that's basically the only thing I'm going to do to this. I picked up some Dollar Tree craft wood. It's a little smaller than the width of it, which is going to be perfect. There are like grommets built in the bottom of it. I don't really have any nails or screws with heads that big, so I'm just going to attach it with hot glue on the back and basically weighing it down like you would weigh down like a curtain or something like that to keep this from flying around and keep it on my window next to my front door. So easy to put together. They also have these with like words on them and stuff like that. I kind of like the simplicity of just the flag pattern like that. And I'm going to go outside and hang it at night, even though it's nighttime, because I wanted to show you how it looked. We're just going to turn on the porch light here to kind of show you. If it was just a little bit longer, it would cover the entire window. But you can see how well it fits in that section. I only have one of those on one side of my front door. So if you had one on both, you could do it on both. It would look really pretty. And as you can see with my light on inside my house at night, it even lights up. So that's really fun. So you've made it to the final reveal for all 21 of the 4th of July Dollar Tree DIYs. I hope you got loads of crafting inspiration today. Be sure to put your favorite in the comments below. It always helps me know which content you guys really enjoy. Enjoy the final reveal.
America. In America, in America.
And thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of today's crafting marathon. I also want to give a huge thank you to my Crafty Beach Bum members for supporting my channel here on YouTube. Thank you to Karen O'Haran, Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Susan Edmonds, Tracy Knight, Nancy Wunner, Janae Farrington, Julie Miller, Pamelia Wren, Maria Grace, Donna Schreiner, Sandy C., Debbie DeLay, Ariana's Mama, Live Another Day, and Tracy Wooldridge. If you would like to become a Crafty Beach Bum member, all you have to do is hit the join button under today's video. It's $4.99 a month. You're going to get early ad-free access to my videos, and you're free to cancel at any time. If you'd like more crafting inspiration, I have more 4th of July DIYs for you in this video right here. And until next time, happy crafting.